Just kind of keeping it chill, keeping it cool. Are we starting now?
Huh?
Are we starting now?
Well, it's already here, my friend.
Wow, we're starting.
Hey, we're starting. Hello. It's September. It's September. Where were we this whole time? August was a dead zone.
August was cool.
There was nothing in August. We didn't do anything in August.
What are you talking about, man? What do you mean there was nothing?
Podcast-wise? Nothing.
Oh, podcast-wise.
It's a dead zone. We're talking about, like, if we're here in this room and talking about the poscat, there's nothing we can speak of that happened in August other than there was nothing. So, but if we want to speak of our external adventures,
right, external
without the poscat, well, then it was an eventful time in August.
Yeah, August was an eventful time.
Yeah,
so
okay, but before I mention anything, my friend,
yes, my friend.
you know, just wanted to reiterate, hey, I'm Phil. That's my name, and with me is
my name is Jake.
And this is Phil and Jake in Conversation. And you're listening to it right now. We never introduce ourselves like this.
We never know. Well,
but I was thinking maybe that would be a good idea, especially if someone wants to see what we're up to here and stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's why I'm saying, hey, it's Phil and Jake in Conversation.
Jake.
And that's exactly what we do. We just speak about things. The reason why it has some theme to it is particularly because I like making films.
Right.
And I'm all about that kind of stuff. So that's why most of the conversations lend to film talks.
It's true.
And you particularly aren't as interested.
No, not too much. I think I used to be more into films like you. I was never into making movies. But I think I've always had an interest in film, and it probably stems from the fact that I think we grew up watching a lot of movies, and we grew up making movies together.
Oh, that is the big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Been making movies since I was 10. I would have started earlier, but we had that in a different podcast. We talked about that.
Yeah. And so, and so I feel like, so most of these episodes, I think probably around... I think the first 10 or 15 episodes, I feel like we kind of had a pretty good variety. We had guests on. So
that's
friends.
right. I forgot about that. That was back in 2013.
Yeah, and so that was kind of like we wanted to do a podcast for, I think, a little bit. When was the idea?
Well, the idea is because you know that our URL is called Not Podcast.
Yeah, but that was more your thing.
And that's because it's not podcast. Like at the beginning, I was adamant, simply adamant that it wasn't a podcast.
That's kind of like your thing. Like you don't want to do... Let's say podcasts are kind of big now, right?
Are they?
Big.
I guess they are.
I think when we started to do the podcast, that's when I think podcasts started to become pretty
We should have started it earlier, man.
We should have, I know, but we're not pioneers of the podcasting realm. But I know that when we started, podcasts were starting to get pretty popular, and I think that's when I started listening to podcasts. And then I think... Did you listen to podcasts in 2013? I got into some podcasts, and I kind of showed you some podcasts.
Oh yeah, I did. I listened to podcasts. Yeah, well, I think you were the initiator of like the current iTunes. Let's have like a podcasting library with people that we like listening to. Yeah, but I was aware of it. I mean, we were all aware of it way back.
Yeah, and I got into some podcasts, and I showed you some podcasts, and I think you started listening to some. And then ever since then, I think I listened pretty much regularly to some podcasts of mine. And I think the idea was, let's think, what was our idea?
Just to have a healthy relationship with people that we know and just have them listen to our voices. And actually, for me, the primary thing about this poscat, another inside joke there, was that I wanted this to be something you could listen to when you're at work and you're bored, or when you're in a car and you're bored. Yeah. And I thought, hey, we found these two microphones from 1973.
Well, I think 80s.
Oh, the 80s.
Yeah.
And so there we go.
So cool. Then I think I can't remember exactly what was my idea. I think it was mostly your idea, and I think I kind of also wanted to do it in the sense that basically to have a bit of a place to, I guess, just express some of our opinions, some of our thoughts, because... Obviously, you had like a blog as well, like you wrote stuff.
That was dumb.
And I did some writing, not very much though. It was mostly like reviews and things. And so I think the initial idea was just get some ideas out there and some opinions. And so we figured, why not do kind of like a conversation format where we can kind of just talk about various things that are on our mind and some opinions we had for a while. And so I think that was the original idea of the podcast in 2013. And so I think the first 15 or 20 episodes were more varied in the subject matter. And, we had some we had some guests, so we had some old friends.
Mm-hmm.
We had interviews, not really interviews. It was mostly just like we had someone on, and then we kind of talked about whatever we want to talk about.
What you want to talk about.
And so that was, I think, the first 15 or 20 episodes.
And then what happened?
And then I think, at least from
then I got nuts. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I think a little bit. You wanted to do then the podcast every week.
Every Monday.
And so I was like, I wasn't, adamant enough and kind of saying, I don't really feel like doing the podcast every week. But when we started doing it, I didn't mind so much. But then as it got on, it kind of felt like a lot of work.
It was trudging on, like, oh no, it can't.
Yeah, because
and it's true. I mean, we don't have much going on at the moment, so I guess maybe that weekly thing probably didn't work.
The weekly thing, I don't know. It just felt like a lot of.
And that was what? That was the business
pressure.
era.
That was the business era, and it felt like a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
for me, and I think probably part of that was because I wasn't initiating, kind of talking about different things, maybe, or stuff that I'm interested in.
Well, that's your fault,
and it's
my
absolutely
friend.
my fault. It's absolutely my fault, and and so I didn't really, I couldn't find like a good time to kind of change a bit of the zone, a bit of the vibe. I kind of, I didn't want to jump into something I'm interested in while we were doing, let's say, an episode on, you had a bunch of.
Why didn't you do that?
Film related, topics or movie news or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so, and that's what it is. I mean, then I said, like, okay, let's do the casual era. So that was season 2, right?
3.
Season 3, right?
Yeah.
So season 1 was what then? What are we going to call it?
The beginning, the Genesis.
Let's call it.
The Sega Genesis era. The Master Drive era.
The Genesis. Let's call it just the Genesis. No, season 1 is.
I don't know. I think Frank would know. Our good friend.
Frank, you would probably know this, I'm sure. Season 1 could be like the Genesis.
The Master Drive era, yeah.
The Master Drive era? Was it? No, are you sure that's the British one?
No, that is the British
UK one. Is the Master Drive, right?
And the American one is the Genesis.
Yeah.
So
that was the first season. Second season,
business
season. That was every week.
Yep.
I think we pretty much.
2014.
2014, right?
More or less.
The whole year?
Not the whole year.
Let me think. I think it was the beginning of the school year for me, at least, like October, somewhere around there. I think we started doing the business era.
No,
and then we went,
Jacob, no.
Remind me.
May, June, July. We always had a week. I'm not keeping that.
Why not? It's funny. It's real.
Oh, man. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so let's think here. So that was...
I apologize.
It's okay.
Not to you, to everybody else.
Well...
The people, the worthy people listening to this. Now, come on, let's speed this up, man.
I'm going. But this is good. I like to keep it...
Okay, fine. I mean,
I like to keep it
we got so much to talk about.
It's great that we've been gone.
Okay.
So now we can just kind of...
All right.
Relax, have a beer, and be, chill.
All right, Mr. Bavaria.
It's pretty good. I like Bavaria. It's not bad. I tried that Leffe beer.
The Leffe?
I think it was Belgian, and that was good. It had a nice little caramel touch to it.
That's right.
I like that. There's this craft beer, remember, that they started in Croatia called Zmaj.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. Craft beer seems to be a thing. Anyway, so that was season 2 was the business era. Then I was like, come on, let's do season 3. Let's turn the volume just down just a bit.
Let's turn that frown upside down.
Let's just turn down the energy, and let's bring it down to more of a casual, conversational. Conversational
yes.
thing. And that was season 3.
And that's where we are.
We're in season 3 called the
Casual
Era.
Where we decide to upload a podcast whenever we
Exactly.
can.
And I like that. I think that's cool. Because
as you wish.
Then what do you think about that?
As you wish, my
Tell
friend.
me, because as you wish indicates to me,
I would
what
go.
You prefer?
I would go for a little bit more frequent.
Okay.
Well, I know that this was a little bit different because we were absent. We were away from all our gear, so we didn't have any reason or will to take anything with us out of the area that we are in, that we usually do our poscats in. And that's about it. But I would just prefer a little bit more frequent things, because then what will happen to me probably is that I will have a little bit of a refresher to be able to focus on what I'd like to express.
Yeah.
And what I could update people on if I'm working on something.
I think that's not a bad idea, actually. I think because
I think the biggest key is
promote. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but the biggest key is to actually be doing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, I
guess to have like a thing that you're doing and people see it, and then more people come, and then you can talk to them about.
That's
things.
Not bad too.
And you can
control their minds.
I like the idea of just kind of exploring ideas, talking about opinions, thoughts, things you're thinking about, kind of more, I guess you could say a little more abstract, and not necessarily so much related to what per se you're producing or creating. But that's good too. I agree.
But totally. I think that will come naturally when you're talking about something. Yeah. So it's a win-win situation here.
For sure. So I think what I would like to do is that, because up until now I've been a little bit more reactionary to the podcast. I've been kind of just, coming on. It's like, oh, Jake's here. Oh, like, I'm just like,
Jake, this loser.
I'm just like, yeah, I think it'd be cool if since we have a podcast, since we're already making this, it'd be cool if I could talk about some of the things that I'm interested in, maybe some of my thoughts.
Well, you certainly may. You certainly may. The only reason I'm talking all the time because you're not talking.
Yeah, and it's totally my fault. So I think we could enter a new season, possibly.
Oh my goodness!
Could this be a moment for a new season?
Which? Okay, well we can't say which one it is, but we'll find it out.
We'll find out. But I was thinking maybe the name, the temporary name. Ready for this?
The Versus era.
No. Season 4, New Horizons. Isn't that a good title? So it would be cool if we could do maybe like we could alternate. So we could do, let's say, 1 week you could do more of your kind of interest stuff, and then another week we could do.
Or we could just be like, so hey Jake, what have you been up to?
We could, but see, I don't like that question though, because what I've been up to isn't necessarily what I've been thinking about.
Well, that's what you've been up to, technically speaking.
Okay, well, if you want to do it that way, but let's do it this way. That's the problem exactly. Is that it feels like when you say like, oh, what have you been up to? It feels like, oh, I have an obligation now to answer, and it feels more like I'm answering questions versus just kind of bringing up something that interests me. So it'd be cool if I'll maybe, we'll come up and I'll maybe just talk about some of the stuff that I've been thinking about, that I've been, my opinions. And and so totally the thing to remember is that I'm just going to be talking about whatever I think. So you totally don't have to tune in if you don't want to.
We'll put a timer in there so you can skip. No, just kidding.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, honestly, like, I'm going to be here talking and saying my things, so it's not, obligatory. If you're here just for Phil, then, skip to the Phil episodes.
No one's here just for me. This is untrue.
Well, it's kind of true.
No, it's not.
The Phil fans.
He's a lie. You're lying.
The Phil fans exist.
You're lying, huh?
And the Jake fans,
they exist, and they're stronger.
Not there.
They're stronger. Team Jake is a stronger team. Is a more stable team.
I think that'd be a cool thing.
A more stable, more clearly thinking team.
More clearly thinking?
I admit it, okay? Okay. All right.
So that's pretty much it. So things to remember is that I don't know many things. I'm not a very smart man. And I'll mostly be talking stuff that, I think, but, I'm probably wrong about a lot of stuff. So that's the most important thing to remember. Remember that the goal I would have is simply to be as honest as I can be, because I like that. I like when I listen to podcasts, when I listen to people talk, what interests me most is what do they really think
about the world,
what do they really believe, those kinds of things, because it's most interesting to me when you find out what someone actually thinks about something and actually thinks about the world they live in, like you said, exactly. And that's cool to me. And so that's kind of my goal, is just to be honest, and talk about those things.
Well, you're in the right place, man.
And that's what we're going to do, I think.
In the right
place. And that'd be cool. All right. And I think that's it. That's kind of the update we're going for, right?
Very cool, yeah. Well, the other update was that we were in Canada, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I learned the official Canadian anthem now. It's "Oh, Canada." Na, 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 na.
Yeah, it's so true. We were in Canada.
So, were you in Canada before, Jacob?
I was never in Canada before. Never in my life.
I was in Canada twice. I was in Vancouver.
That's right.
The Vancouver area.
Vancouver and so you're just in BC, right?
Yes, just in BC.
As they say.
So I was never in any other province.
Really?
No,
just BC.
Just BC.
Did you know? Did they used to say BC
until now?
When you were there, did they say BC or did they say British Columbia? Because I always thought it was just British Columbia. That's how you say
I think everybody says BC.
That sounds kind of cool, but confusing with DC. Washington D.C.
Yeah, but no one cares about Washington D.C. because it's the other country. It's not the same country, man.
Yeah, we should talk a little bit. You know what's weird? I went to Wikipedia.
Okay.
And I Wikipedia'd Washington D.C. And I was very surprised because it said this. It said Washington, D.C., formerly British Columbia. What does that mean?
Well, it used to be called British Columbia.
But then I went to the official government site, and it says British Columbia. I'm sorry, it said District of Columbia.
That's District of Columbia.
Yeah, but I'm saying on Wikipedia it said formerly District of Columbia. So I don't know what that means.
Maybe they don't call it... I don't know, Jacob.
Either. Anyway, Canada. So you were in Canada twice.
Yeah.
2004
and 5.
4 and 5. Mm-hmm. For your film trip, right?
Yeah, for my filming things.
With compass.
Yeah.
And you went to the set of
I used the compass. You used the compass.
Hello.
Yeah. So for X-Men Last Stand and Fantastic Four. Sorry, guys.
But you also saw...
But hey, this Fantastic Four, the 2005 one, is no longer the worst Fantastic Four movie.
Now you have that new one. Whatever that is. I don't even know what that is.
Fanforstic?
Fanforstic. I think it's...
You should look at the logo. It says Fanforstic.
No, it's Fandarstic because it's so dark.
Oh, yeah, it's dark. It's dark and broody. Anyway, continue. Go on. Canada.
Yeah,
so
you saw some sites and stuff as well.
We went to like some of the forests and we went to Mount Whistler. Everybody loves Mount Whistler, and I always think of Whistler from Blade. I love that guy.
Dude, he's awesome.
What's happening, Blade?
You're
breaking my stuff again.
What was that? Carter Coonan.
I did some checking on his Carter Coonan
vampire.
Line was from day one.
So it was really refreshing, and it was a surprising trip as well. For me,
yes.
We had the opportunity.
But we have to tell them what region? What was it?
Province.
Province we were in. The one Wolverine is native to.
Right. I always forget about that.
Alberta.
Very cool. I have to say, it was a very, very fun trip. In my opinion,
and I'm glad you got to go.
I know, me too. It was a refreshing trip. It was interesting to start. The plane, because usually what we used to do is we used to go to Indiana from Croatia, and we would take a plane from Zagreb to Frankfurt or Munich.
Yep.
And that would be like 2 hours, and then we take another plane from, let's say, Frankfurt to Chicago, and that would be 9 or 10 hours,
right,
depending on wind speed and things. And then we'd come down, and the final plane would be like an hour from Chicago.
That's right. And that was the worst.
And that was the worst because it was such a
You're so tired,
trip,
yeah.
and it's like the last leg is the worst. You're falling asleep, and
you have to walk around the stupid airlines.
Yeah, it was just tough. And this was really neat because we went from Zagreb to where did we go? Amsterdam.
In the
Schiphol.
To the Schiphol
airport.
To that Schiphol, yeah.
And it was actually really nice because we went straight from Schiphol to the Calgary airport.
And that's
airport.
it. And it
felt so close. It wasn't kind of strange.
It felt really close.
When we got there, because we haven't been to North America.
Well, look, all our lives we've been going at least once a year on a plane.
Yeah.
All our lives until 2011. And then we had a whole...
Vice versa. It could be going to Europe or going to the States or whatever. But we've always been going on a plane.
But we're always on a plane at least 1 year.
Yeah.
Once.
Up until 2011.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And in 2011, forget it. Done.
Yeah.
We didn't do any of that. All our travels have been ground-based.
Yep.
And until now. And so coming back to the airline life
was weird, wasn't it? A little weird.
Yeah.
But it was also cool because we kind of went on our own and it was neat. And
it was nice.
It felt, like I said, very strangely it didn't feel.
But that's also
long.
because I decided to not sleep before I go on the plane.
Oh, you did that, right?
Yeah, all the time, because then I'll just start falling asleep on the plane.
That was good. You did fall asleep all the way.
Oh, many times, and that made it feel even shorter.
That's true. But yeah, it felt really close, didn't it? Just flying on a plane 9 hours, and you get there, and it's
across the Atlantic Ocean, man.
To be again in North America.
Yeah, the first thing that greets us, what's this? Carpets on the floors?
Yeah. Oh, and dude, the ultimate sign that you're in North America, water fountains.
Yeah,
that is the symbol.
That's a symbol.
It's a symbol
of you're not in Europe.
But we can't say freedom because Canada.
Yeah, it's not about freedom.
Pure freedom.
It's about peace there.
It's about peace.
See, that's when we
peace
went to
and government.
We went to the Peace Bridge, and I kept calling it the Freedom Bridge because I'm too American.
Yeah, so you don't know the Canadian way.
No.
The Canadian way is the government is on your side. Anyway, we're just joking.
The government isn't really on your side.
I know, but listen.
I'm joking.
I know, but listen. We were at the airport.
Yes.
And it was amazing.
Which one?
The Calgary airport. And it was great because it was a nice, experience, getting to be back in
deep air conditioning.
In a proper land.
In a proper land.
With air conditioning, and it was great.
We met our friends who were...
Who invited us.
Who were kind enough. Kind enough to invite us over.
And that was just so cool.
Go to all these different trips, all these different places. And we almost, what's his name? We listened to a podcast called Tested. It's a YouTube channel where they talk about very nerdy things most of the time.
And one of the co-hosts, we watched the videos.
Yeah, they're San Francisco based, and one of the co-hosts, Norman Chan, he was, and we went to this museum in Drumheller.
Yeah, it was called the
Tyrell.
The Tyrell Institute Museum.
Yeah, for fossils
dinosaurs.
The biggest, one of the biggest dinosaur exhibits you could ever lay your eyes on.
Yeah.
And
Drumheller, right?
Yeah, in Drumheller. And we were just two days away, weren't we? 2 days missed.
I went on Twitter a couple days ago, a couple days after, and I saw Norm tweeted Drumheller Museum.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
if we were there, we could have been like, Norm. And then he would have been hey guys.
That's the extent of it.
Norm.
That's the extent of it.
Yeah. Anyway, we did great stuff. Mountains were great to see.
Yeah, and the family we stayed with, they were so nice.
They were awesome people.
Beautiful people.
They were
just
let us
great. They just showed us everything.
No, but it was the best because they're the kind of people who know a lot of things.
Yeah.
And they're very, knowledgeable people.
Yeah.
And so they basically know the ins and outs of Calgary and the surrounding areas and national parks.
And they travel a lot too, so they know a lot of other things as well.
So they're completely seasoned travelers, and
And we got to meet.
Adventurers.
We got to finally, we got to strike out my longtime friend Mara.
That's right, Mara.
And her fiance
Robbie,
who's listening.
Robbie,
hey,
you're listening.
Robbie,
You're on the internet live.
Hey. We got to strike them out. Well, at least I got to strike it out of my list of just internet friends to actual friends.
Oh, it was cool for me.
I love doing that. I want to do that with everybody.
Isn't that cool though?
Including Frank.
It's just the dimensions just completely open up, and it's like, dude, we're hanging out.
It is that human connection.
I didn't know Maura and Robbie on the internet.
No, you
before,
didn't. But I knew Maura since 2009.
That's true. That was a while.
Man.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. And so it was cool. It was a cool experience meeting all those people and meeting you guys, whoever's listening.
Yeah.
If we met you, it was a great experience. I really enjoyed it.
We will return.
It
was so nice, and their apartment was so cool.
Dude, yeah.
If we had that apartment, I'd be doing podcasts every day.
Yeah, because beautiful, view, great, the hail comes in.
Yeah, doesn't
matter. The
matter.
next day, super sunny.
Oh yeah,
super dry, and your boogers in your nose.
Oh, they get dry. Well, that's the climate in Alberta.
And so it's interesting. It was an interesting thing.
And we went to Banff and all these other national parks.
Yeah, it's hard to remember all the names, I have to say.
Well, yeah.
But we saw
as our friend Cherry Sama.
Yes.
Whom we extensively. Well, the primary reason why we came over there because she's our good friend. Well, he's my good friend from way back 2008.
Yes.
My friend. And and as she said, they're just a bunch of rocks and trees, and I can't tell the difference after a while.
After a while, she is true.
The rocks and trees.
To begin with, I have to say, it's an awesome opportunity to see all these natural wonders. But it is true after a while, if you're not really interested in so many specifics, it's difficult to tell them apart. This is the trio rock, and this is the one rock here, and this is the
three sisters, and then the three brothers, and then the three cousins.
Really?
No, I'm just making this up.
And there's all kinds of things, and this is the lake, and it's like, this lake is totally different from that lake. Why?
And
because
Wounded
this is bluer.
Knee. Yeah.
And this one's greener.
Wait, that's the Battle of Wounded Knee. What am I talking about? I'm talking about horsebuck or whatever that thing. I don't even remember. But yeah, maple syrup all around. Syrup. All that kind of stuff. It's all good.
It was interesting, but the funny thing was that, I always had this kind of idea in my head that Canada was almost identical to the States. For some reason, I thought, most of the stuff is the same.
Well, at face value, it is.
At face value, it is. But the more you're there, the more you realize the differences. And there are definitely differences in Canada. And I felt like, it was an interesting experience to notice those differences.
You normally hear people going, yeah, so I went to my house over there.
That's right.
Everybody's kind of quiet and reserved.
Kind of more quiet, more reserved, more a little bit,
And far less people, at least in the Calgary area that we were in.
It did feel like there were less people.
You go to Chicago or any of those other kind of metropolitan cities in the United States, even Indianapolis has more people. Yeah. And Calgary is it's perfect place for if you want to film something without many people.
Yeah, and then remember the suburbs? Were you talking about that as well?
Suburbs, man.
Film things.
Yeah.
And, but it was different for sure than the States. There were differences. And, learn some new
Loonies
words.
and Toonies.
Loonies and Toonies. Learn some new words like
who's.
What were they? Who's, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I know. The first thing Robbie told me was like, what? Philip, house. And
all I want to say is this, guys. The Canadian accent exists, okay? It exists.
Well, now you're safe. You're not going to confront Robbie.
I'm not going to be attacked by the Canadian deniers of the accent. But here's the thing, right? Accents are great, and I like most accents out there. I'll probably say I like all accents because they're just different. It just shows that cultures develop differently, and you have your own flavors, you know? And they're all equally good. You know, they're all equal footing accents. So I think, why not just, embrace your accent? It's great. Thanks for tuning into Accent News. House.
About.
What else is there? It's funny because when you go on one of those trips, it's just you can't remember.
Well, the fact that their grocery stores are amazing. I love them.
You mean the real Canadian superstore?
The real Canadian superstore. And over there on the other side is the fake Canadian superstore.
The fake one, yeah.
The fake Canadian superstore is not.
Don't count that. But the real Canadian superstore.
I just got so jealous. I mean, all those Asian products, because there's so many different nationalities in there, and that just brings so many
different kinds of
food and products that you can get for cheap.
I know, it is true. But see, that's the advantage.
They were not here to fight with us on Correspondence
That's the advantage of, let's say, a place like America and Canada, is that, there are many ethnic backgrounds, Many ethnic backgrounds and roots. So then, for instance, when you talk about American food, there isn't really a thing called American food. There's a few things, like apple pie and things like that. But generally, a lot of the foods are influenced by, Europe and Asia and so on. And it's a good thing, I think, because then you can
get so much stuff.
You can go somewhere, and then you can go to a Thai restaurant, and you can go to a, Mexican restaurant.
Oh, hey, Vietnamese pho. Remember that?
Pho.
Hey.
And that's a great thing because, generally, Europe, if you're in a metropolitan city, that's going to exist, right? Your Londons, your Parises, and that stuff. There's of course going to be all kinds of influences. But when you're in a country like Croatia or something like that, it's just it's kind of sometimes too homogenous. There's not enough.
But that's not bad.
Not enough. Just try some new foods.
Yeah, but that's not bad though.
What?
The homogeny.
It's not bad, but I'm saying that there's some downsides to it.
Well, yes.
There's some downsides to the less diversity in things. Anyway. That was cool.
Everything was grooving. We got economy comfort.
Economy comfort.
When we're going there, and we were like, wow.
Well, we were sitting down.
Because I was never a big believer in these gimmicks, economy comfort, you just pay an extra $100 or $200.
No, because we were both believers in basically get the cheapest tickets because you're going to save the most money, and who cares?
Right,
it's just the flight, right? But now that we saw economy comfort.
But at last we see the light.
We were sitting in economy comfort. And we were wondering, after about half an hour, we were sitting there wondering, what's going on here?
Something's better.
And then, because I was afraid to stretch my legs out. I was very afraid because, usually if you're in third class, economy class, you just can't do that. And I realized, what is this? I can stretch my legs. What? And the seats are wider. And, we were right next to the lavatory, which was convenient.
Yeah.
Remember that? And it was amazingly comfortable.
Amazing.
And so now we know.
Because on the way back, we just got regular economy.
And we were in the peasants.
The coaches.
And we were just
It was bad.
Around.
It was bad.
It hurt.
Wow,
my
amazing.
Knees hurt, because I'm a giant.
Yeah. Tootal Jones. Yeah.
So
those presidents
there we go. Signing stuff.
This is it's almost September 11th.
Oh, yes.
So we're showing, I'm just looking at some photos of immediate reactions at the White House over
that's a crazy time.
The September 11 attack. Sorry to put this on a downer.
It's okay, but it's true.
After talking about planes,
it's okay, but it's true, and it's coming up, the anniversary. So, what else can we say about our trip that was fun and some highlights? Maybe just
like I said, the museums, the nature, the grizzlies that we never met,
and of course, enjoying some classics. We like
to get, the first thing we did. What do you think the first thing it was? They knew.
Let you guess.
The family knew that brought us here. Cherry Sama's family. Where do we go?
Where would we like to go? I'll give you 5 seconds to guess.
Taco Bell. Taco Bell. Ah, yo quiero Taco Bell. And
wasn't it a crazy feeling though? Because we got off the plane and it was just we haven't been in North America for such a long time. It was a bizarre feeling going into that Taco Bell / A&W or whatever that was.
Yeah.
And you walk in there and you're just, I'll have a number 2. Just weird. Like I haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it was a little different though. The food was the same, but the menu was a little bit different.
Yeah, there was no nachos, so I was very sad about that. Because that's a staple to me. I'm sorry, the nachos at Taco Bell are the most staple sort of things. You eat the tacos and you have the nachos.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm talking about. See, in Canada, there's little differences.
Yeah. There's a little like And
that was crazy. We went to Taco Bell.
Well, they had A&W, which I thought was very American.
Never tried A&W and actually tried it for the first time.
Well, in Canada, a little different than the States, I would say.
What, A&W?
I think the quality of their food is a notch up. Not notch up.
But then again, we have to remember we're arbitrarily comparing like Indiana to
Indiana.
If we were in like San Francisco or something, I don't know. I just have a feeling it might be different.
We're gonna have to pay Caleb a visit.
We should.
Caleb, who doesn't listen to our podcast.
But that's what I liked about Calgary. I liked that it was obviously expensive. That's bad, but it was good quality. Like even the fast food places you went to.
Not expensive for us Americans with the dollar.
Oh yeah.
The Ben Franks.
The $1 for $1.30 Canadian.
Good old Ben Franks.
Good old Ben supplying us with extra boosts. Looking at us, when we purchase something, he's going, good purchase.
America.
Yeah.
Actually, he's looking at us with a begrudging look. He's like, "You're going to trade me?"
That's what he did
for the Queen.
For the Queen
of England.
Can't believe you traitor. We fought a war.
Yeah, we have genuine paper bills. They have plastic.
I like their bills though.
I know.
It's nice. Washable too.
Yeah.
Washable. I'm trying to think. So yeah, it was nice. I like that.
The bookstores. I
like
nice.
Calgary. I think is a nice city. It's clean. It feels more like casual. It doesn't feel so, hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
Like Chicago is like
Chicago
crazy industrial.
That's the funniest thing in Chicago. I know people talk about crime and stuff, but that was funny because when we were walking down Chicago one time, FBI officer takes out his badge.
Seriously?
To a guy selling watches or something. He's like, "Come here." And we were looking at that. Like that's kind of like, is that a regular occurrence in old Chicago?
I think it is. I'm pretty sure, dude. In Chicago.
And then a hobo comes up, "Hey, I'm hungry."
Yeah, and it's like it's hard. It's like, what do you do? Like,
he's not even a hobo, and he's just he just did that to mess with me.
Maybe
because he was talking to his friend. He's like, "Hey, I'm hungry."
Oh, really?
That's it.
Maybe, yeah, it's possible. So yeah, Calgary was cool. I think it was fun.
All right.
Well, it's kind of expensive though. Like
expensive?
Yeah, remember?
Nah.
But I guess that's
Ben
what you get, though, man. That's what you get for.
We have the American government on our side. America, believe in freedom.
It's the eagle. Yeah.
All right. So that's why we weren't
nothing
here.
else we want to say? Something.
What else did you want to say? Look, I got a new 3DS. That's cool. A new 3DS, not a used new 3DS. A new 3DS.
That's right. You got
Monster Hunter. Monster hunting. The huge breakfast. Raisin Bran.
I guess we could.
I love Raisin Bran.
I think we covered pretty much all, like basically some of the highlights. And
if you're our friends on Facebook, which you are, you can always look at the pictures.
Yeah, because kind of weird. Like it can't get into like talking to the people, man, because it's a podcast, and anybody listens to this, it's like that's kind of you can kind of talk about just kind of
that's okay because what we're doing here today is not only talking about stuff like that, but we're also let's talk about some movies here. One movie in particular, and the only one I'm talking about is Star Wars. Talking about Star Wars, there is Darth Vader and the old decrepit man.
So now we're shifting into re-greeting, and we're going into the main event for today.
Well, the main event for today is definitely September. It's September.
Yes.
It's not hot, and we're here with. It's our Parsecs 2 Episode 7.
Oh yeah,
event.
That's our title.
Parsecs 2 Episode 7.
Once we have a new website,
guess what?
Once we have a new website, we could have like special buttons, like Parsecs to Episode 7 collection.
Yeah. Well, I would love people to listen to this because I think that I listened when I was in Canada. Listened to our previous 2 or 3 when we were on the plane and stuff, just to review of what we were talking about with episodes 4, 5, and 6. No, 4, 5, and 1. And I think we were talking about
4, 1, and 5. I think the last one we did was 5.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't in order. And I think what we were talking about was rather interesting. And I would implore people who've seen episodes like the Star Wars movies and just listen to us reviewing it. I think we did a pretty good job. And so hopefully we'll be able to do a good job now because we just finished watching episode 2.
I believe you, but I'm just like, I'm more self-critical and it's like difficult for me to like kind of...
I'm super critical of myself, but I thought it was pretty good.
Okay, well...
So, if that, there might be something. So anyway, Parsecs episode 7.
It's funny, though, I want to say about that is it's interesting that I've noticed that I'm trying to avoid sounding like we will be interesting, so kind of don't think about that. But I like the fact that when you listen to... If you find a new podcast or if you find something new or you read a new blog or something. What's interesting is what often happens is that at the beginning, you're kind of like, oh, I have no time to check this out. This is just another guy or whatever. And when you start reading someone's stuff or you start listening to someone's podcast, it's just an interesting thing to notice that the more you listen to it, the more you get familiar, with the person. You're like, oh, okay, And that's the same thing with meeting people as well, is that, once you get to know somebody, it just changes your whole outlook. So that's a cool thing, I thought.
And that's why people who listen to us.
So I don't know, but I don't want to equate that to say like, if you listen to us, it would be interesting. So
I'm just saying that in an honest way without
like
just thinking. Yes, because if I thought it was interesting and I was talking in the postcat, I think it's interesting. So that's why I give it a worthy.
Okay, well that's fair enough.
A worthy recommendation. Parsecs to episode 7. Now let's talk about episode 7 for a second. And here's
I'm tired of episode 7 talking about it. What do you want to say about it?
Jacob,
what?
This is the good news you've been wanting to hear all this time.
Tell me, what's the good news?
I don't want to talk about episode 7. That's why I'm going to talk about episode 7. What I'm doing is I'm done. I can't look at any more news for episode 7 because I'm sick of hearing people going, oh my god, so
this
good.
This is the next step, Philip.
But you know why? Because I want to see this movie without any more knowledge about it. I'm done. I have enough information.
I've been telling you this the entire time.
Well, I know.
I'm glad you've taken a
first step to a larger world.
See? There you go.
Yeah.
Now you can just like go like
who cares?
People are like raving episode 7. Who cares? Like,
yeah, I want to watch because when I saw that poster by Drew Struzan, I think it was for Comic-Con.
It was a new one.
Yeah, and it was underwhelming, and I don't like it so much. And I was thinking maybe the movie would be underwhelming, and I'll feel really bad about it. And I'd like to. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, you want to just go in there with an open mind.
Exactly. So I'm not going to talk about it, and that's why we're having this. We only have 4 more months.
Yeah,
and then we're gonna do the exact same review we're doing with episode 2 now.
Go through it.
Going through them in an honest way.
But until then, we're going to go through all the Star Wars films.
Yes. Every month
episode
now.
2, we still have episode 3, and then finally 6.
Look, episode 3 is going to be in October next month.
So next month.
This is September, this is October, and then episode 6 is November.
Final, how would we say that? What's the word for like before? But not the before. Precursor to episode 7. Otherwise known as just Star Wars,
The Force Awakens.
Episode, just The Force Awakens.
Which is what they're going to change it to because they have confidence.
We have confidence.
They have confidence that it's going to go so far that we can't put Roman numerals.
Actually, I won't get into the Disney logo thing. Forget it. We're done with that.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the main event. So, prepare yourself.
Oh, by the way, but episode 7 is going to be reviewed with Tim.
Well, yeah.
Our good friend Tim. Yeah, and hopefully I'll be able to keep it in line. We're going to go scene by scene like we're doing it.
Hopefully we have, again, 2 juxtaposition arguments
where
it's like, Tim will be like, I loved it. And we'll be like, it wasn't good. No.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be good and it'll be entertaining. So anyway, let's go to Star Wars Episode 2. Now, before we talk about Episode 2, there's the nostalgia value.
T-checks.
Yeah. The nostalgia value is there because this was the movie we watched in 2002 in May. And before that, we went to the Convention Center of Indianapolis when they had Celebration 2 in April. And we went with our friend Andrew. Andy, as we called him.
We call him Andy.
Well, his name's Waleed.
Waleed.
And we love this guy. He was one of our best childhood friends. And we used to hang out with him all the time. And hopefully he's listening to this because you're so cool, man.
Andy, we'll send it to you.
We love you, dude. And he was the overzealous guy.
Oh, yeah.
If you're in any way familiar with Penny Arcade,
okay, I'm kind of
the comics. I know you know about the people behind them.
The behind the scenes. I don't know the comic.
Mike Krahilick and
Jerry
and Gabe Newell and Jerry Holkins.
Yeah.
But they're avatars. They're comic book personalities in Penny Arcade. Gabe, right?
Psycho.
Yeah. No, Gabe and Tycho, right? But Gabe, that's kind of Andy.
Gabe is the one with the blonde hair, right?
No, Gabe's the one with the black hair. That's
Andy.
That
is Andy, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Gabe is supposed to be Mike, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because he's more like the energetic, reactionary, just really...
Yeah, exactly. And so what happened is we were in Indiana, and that's perfect because, so much stuff goes on from Indiana. Like Indiana Jones, George Lucas if only he wasn't born in, Marin County, California, and he would have probably been born in Indiana.
Probably.
Hey, everybody.
I don't know.
And Andy we actually, because we were kids, okay, 10 years old, we loved episode 1. We thought it was cool. And that was still at the time when I didn't have a grounded sort of open-eyed opinion over what's good and what's not based on my cultural upbringing, which is it's a very Western kind of progressive outlook. I'm just making stuff up. And so I thought that episode 1 was cool, and we like Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Darth Maul. We loved the fight at the end. We loved the choir, and we talked about that in our episode 1.
I think we did, didn't we? We
the
talked
Goongoos.
about the
and
nostalgic factor.
For episode 2, I remember in 2001, our friend Matt
from school,
yes,
pretty much,
he was the ultimate Star Wars nerd in my class. He was always, he had Star Wars t-shirts, he had Star Wars this, and he was looking, and he was running Star Wars message boards back in 2001.
No way, really?
Pre 9/11.
Wow.
He wasn't running them, but he was always frequenting them.
Yeah, contributing.
Then. And he was looking at the rumors, TFN, the Force.net rumors and stuff like that. And remember that one? He printed out some rumor posters, some Photoshop posters of Leonardo DiCaprio, rumored as Anakin Skywalker for episode 2. And I was like, I went to the Star Wars website once or twice, and I saw that it said, episode 2 coming soon. They showed some concepts. I'm like, what is episode 2 going to be about? It felt really mysterious to me.
I remember.
There was no title yet. It was just episode 2. And wow, it just felt so cool.
He was cool. I remember.
2002.
Well, because it's kind of similar, I would say, to, when something's a phenomenon, it's similar. I'm not trying to equate it to Pokemon, but Pokemon had a similar vibe where everyone, is aware of it. Everyone knows about it. And especially when you're a kid, everyone's into it, everyone's excited for it, and you're just waiting to hear something about it. You're just waiting to go watch it because it's great because it was pre-internet, pre-broadband internet.
Yeah.
So it was awesome because, you had no news, and, Matt was,
and the only people who did have the news are, the super nerds,
The super nerds who would,
the comic book nerds from
They
The
would
Simpsons.
probably read some specialized magazines that would tell, they would read a Variety or something.
Yeah.
But the rest of us, in the dark, we're just waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, we don't
We're going to wait for the official announcement. Do you remember when the photos came out?
No.
Because I remember that was the big thing for us was when they released some of the promotional pictures. Remember? Of Django.
Oh,
the hero pictures of Obi-Wan and Anakin. There were some subtitles.
And there was a new Anakin, right?
And that's when our theories began.
Andy's theories. He's like, look at that! Well, we're going to have to link our video documentation for Star Wars Episode 2, the convention. Which only went for one day.
Well, you got
it was Sunday. It was the last day. So, of course, as everybody knows who goes to conventions, the last day is usually not the best day to go.
But it's okay. We didn't even know what.
We didn't know any of that.
So
no. And you erased all the photo data.
Man. Did we talk about that once?
Let's stop talking. I think we have.
But the promotional photos.
Yes.
There was Django in the rain.
Yes.
Choking Obi-Wan.
No, someone was choking Django.
Sorry.
And it was a shot in the rain, silhouetted. I think it was the Topps trading cards.
Yeah, the Topps trading cards.
And Andy showed it to us. He is 12 and I was 13. And so he's like, look, Anakin's choking Django Fett in the rain, in the thunder. And we're like, ooh. And I think we were like, just forget it. Stop, Andy.
No, but remember then there was also a picture.
Oh, and then there was the poster. The poster campaign that they had were the promo photos of each character, and behind them would be either a row of Jedi or a row of clone troopers. And there was a picture of Jango Fett, and behind him was the row of clone trooper armies. And Andy looked at it, and he was like, Jango's leading the clones! He's going to be the leader of the clones!
And we're like, what?
What? Yeah. And then Count Dooku, we didn't even know who Christopher Lee was yet.
But I love that. It was so fun.
And phew.
And so we were just like, whatever, talking about it. We're trying to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And should we talk about going with Andy's?
Yeah, with Andy's stepdad?
Yeah, we talked about that. That's awesome.
That was amazing. So his stepdad is kind of a nerd. And
he's a science guy, remember?
And he's a science guy. He's a chemist.
Yeah.
Chemists making crystal. Nah, that's a dumb joke.
Yeah, no.
And he actually saw it before we did.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
He did, yeah.
Remember?
I don't remember him
and
seeing it.
He's a joker. He's always, teasing us all the time. Us kids, the trio. And
winding us up.
Yeah.
British term.
Winding us up. And he was actually talking to us about what happens. He's like, okay, it's the Clone Wars, so they make clones of Qui-Gon and Darth Maul. And armies of Darth Mauls and armies of Qui-Gons are fighting each other. And I'm like, oh, my dream come true. By the way. I bought this too.
I was like, what? I can't imagine this, but wow.
Well, and the title came out. Remember that video with Ian McGregor talking to Kidman?
But we saw it later.
Yeah, I know, but they're calling it Attack of the Clones.
Continue on with the... So we were driving back. We were driving to the cinema to go watch Star Wars 2, and Andy's stepdad was telling us these things, and we're like, no, like, oh. We're talking about we're making up stuff like Darth Maul fighting Qui-Gon.
Yeah, and I was hoping against hope that Darth Maul was going to be in there. Because for some reason, I love Darth Maul, and he was the coolest. And I was hoping somehow Darth Maul would be in.
But I think it's a legitimate hope. I mean, it could have
cloned him.
It could have happened.
They could have cloned him.
And so, we were talking about all that stuff.
Did we go with our cousin Susu?
We did, yes. And Andy too?
And our uncle.
Yeah. With all of us went then.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. And me and Andy bought this big tub of popcorn on purpose, and we were sitting behind you and Susu. And
that's right. I didn't sit with you guys for some reason.
In a cinema, and we were waiting for this movie to start in the cinema. And then when it started, we were like using the popcorn to sort of create a little volcano.
I remember the popcorn was like spilling out.
And then when the episode 2 logo comes out, it said episode 2 instead of 1 because we had it on VHS, always watching episode 1. It's like, I can't believe it. And Andy's like, yeah, me either. It's episode 2. Episode 2. So with that, we could begin with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. So as the thing is going, what is happening?
Let us begin. So our approach here is that we've been trying to kind of go with, pretending we haven't seen it before, and we're trying to kind of reanalyze
the film an honest, open-minded way.
So no predispositions, just kind of what is the movie
just like we did with episode 1. No saying Jar Jar's an idiot because he sucked and he disappointed us, and George Lucas destroyed our childhood. None of that.
No,
we're pretending we saw this without the hype, and just that we've seen episodes 4, 5, and 6 and 1. So now is the next episode. And if you haven't seen our episode, listen to our episode 1. I'd like you to listen to that.
It would help if you went in order.
But if you don't,
it's okay too.
The recap would just be that, in case you forgot and don't want to listen to it again, is just that we thought it was very strange and it didn't really match the older films.
Yeah,
had some good visuals, but really didn't have a
very different approach. Well, the biggest thing I think from episode 1 was that 4, 5, and 6 had a very distinct, had a lot of character. 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah,
and so that was the biggest thing. Really, was 1 suddenly just the dynamics were low.
Yeah.
And so that was basically the whole vibe of the film. Is that when you're watching it, you couldn't read characters.
Yeah.
And so the story then followed that approach, and it felt like a lot of segments.
Yeah, and plot-wise, what you were expecting, for example, with Anakin and stuff, really wasn't the forefront of the entire picture, and it felt like in my opinion, it felt like a bit of a wasted opportunity. Instead of that, it just felt like one episode.
No, the biggest thing for me was that they were juggling a lot of things in the first one. Well, and it ended up being losing focus. So that's pretty much the first one.
All right, so episode 2 starts.
Before we start, the last recap of the first one was that, speaking aesthetically, I liked the look of episode 1.
Me too. Doug Chang is probably the big one.
And I have to say, before I didn't like the idea of them, going into very, curvatures and a very new galaxy.
You didn't?
Before I didn't like that.
Oh, before.
It's bad. But looking at it now, I think that was actually a pretty good idea because it's a different thing. It's a prequel.
Yeah, so it makes it a little fresh.
Makes it fresh. So it was good. I appreciate the aesthetic choice they made with episode 1, and it had a nice the film look was nice. It was cool. Anyway, so let's begin. We're here. It sounds like a lecture. Let's begin.
Well, it is a lecture. Let's begin. Attack of the Clones happens, and the first thing we see...
What time are we on? What time? How much?
Well, what happens is the opening crawl shows up, and it says that there is unrest in the Galactic Senate. So what happens is that many different solar systems in the galaxy... Now, as we move on 10 years after Episode 1, there's a lot of systems are deciding to move away from the Republic. Why? Because what happened before was that after the victory of the Republic against the Trade Federation of Naboo, they conquered the Trade Federation's blockade.
And now
with the taxes.
More planets are joining the
Trade Federation, and they're turning to separatists.
So up until now, there's been a republic.
Yes.
So kind of a democratic
for thousands
union
of
many planets.
And so when I was watching this, okay, this should have been Episode 1.
In what sense?
This should have been Episode 1 because the title is Star Wars, so it's nice that we start with some kind of war starting to happen. So that's what it is. And the big thing is that Queen Amidala is not a queen.
She's now a senator.
She's a senator now.
And so she's
returning to Coruscant after the whole Naboo thing 10 years later to see what up.
No, she's coming back. She's
to vote on the critical issue of creating an army of the Republic. That's the one. There we go.
The Republic wants to create an army to fight the separatists
because they're getting their turmoil, man.
Queen Amidala is visiting Coruscant. And that's the setup.
Yeah, and the camera pulls up, and it goes, and we see the Naboo fighters, and it's like, hey, this is something we remember. The Naboo, the yellow fighters that I think both of us can agree, pretty nice design.
Good design.
And this big ship shows up, right?
Yeah.
It looks like the one from the Episode 1, the Queen's ship, but it's different. Isn't that strange? And so the guy's like, oh, and by the way, this was filmed in digital instead of film. And that's a big thing for me because I'll tell you when the movie goes on. So they go down into the mysterious feeling. It's like, what's going on?
Not a bad opening, I think.
I like the mystery opening.
Movies that tend to open on
action
kind of
scenes.
low key tend to be sometimes more interesting when they do that. Action scenes are cool sometimes, but this was nice to just kind of a cold opening. You don't know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, and so it goes down into the clouds, into Coruscant, the whole planet, one big city. And, it's kind of foggy. And Mr. Eye Patch Man,
the Queen's ship, pulls in.
And they're like, all right, we're going to get you out. And she's like, all right. And then the two Naboo fighters that are escorting this big ship come down. And then Panaka's not here.
No, he's gone. So Panaka was the general of
Captain
of the Naboo
fleets, special forces, and he was a distinctive character because he was complaining a lot.
He was a complainer,
and he was a negative Nancy. But he's absent in this movie. Instead, we have Maury Man. What's
his name?
New Zealander. I have no idea what his name is. Eye Patch Guy. Eye Patch Joe.
Eye Patch Joe tells us very nicely and very observantly that.
Oh, and R2, that was a big one. R2 is in one of the Naboo fighters with this helmeted person. Who is this helmeted person, and why didn't we get to see the Queen's face at the beginning?
Right. But Eye Patch Man tells us, well,
there was nothing to worry about after all.
2 seconds later, boom! Explosion.
I actually laughed because I thought that was a little bit on the nose, a little bit.
Do you think that
silly.
was on purpose?
That's a good question. You're gonna have to ask George.
The ship explodes.
Yeah, and then
the Queen dies. So now,
we're like, what is this? The Queen's going to explode.
Right, and we reveal that the Queen is actually a decoy.
Yeah.
Corday. So it wasn't the Queen.
And then Padme the helmet's
goggles
up, and then it's Padme.
Padme's here. Reveal of Padme.
Yep.
So far,
so she was going in disguise. I don't know. To be honest, I was watching this and I was thinking that has to be someone important. And the ship blows up, and I'm like,
those are one of those things where you notice in the film.
Padme is definitely not dead.
Not the ship.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy if it was. And so we move on to the next scene.
And then, but she says, I shouldn't have come back. And it's like, Eye Patch Joe comes in and he goes, dude, you're a senator. You're supposed to be doing this stuff.
And she's like, okay,
let's go. And also the video, because we're watching this in high def Blu-ray, and we're watching this. Well, I didn't pay for this Blu-ray because I borrowed it from a friend. Because no.
No.
But the thing is that this is pretty much the native format because the film was filmed on a Sony HDW F900. Now I'm looking at it right here. There it is.
Well, tell us first, layman, how that looks like.
It's like a big clunky camera.
Big clunky camera. It looks pretty much like a film camera, right?
And what I have to admire about Episode 2 and George Lucas is that
digital,
he
right?
pioneered this whole thing.
It's digital, right?
Yes.
It's one of the, from what I know, it's one of the first digital film cameras.
And without this, someone was going to have to film something digitally. And as long as at least we had this big guy, George Lucas, having enough faith in the digital technology to take the hit for all of us and start it. And so now,
the revolution.
At least Episode 2 and Episode 3 will be permanently in 1080p because that's the format and resolution. But with that comes development and wider use of the format because he was such a big guy in the film industry and everybody is like, hey, digital, hey, digital. So now we're here and digital did a lot of things.
And I think we have George Lucas to thank for that, actually.
Yeah, and
because
that, too.
I mean, he took the risk and made a major film.
The picture itself, watching it now, when I was watching in the theater, 100% looked like a film. Like when I was watching it, I can still remember when I was 13.
Me too.
That contrast ratio that celluloid delivers and that layer of grain that merges the image into like an organic, film is in a way magic because it does have that quality,
Absolutely.
I believe digital will be able to match that. But film has always had that quality. So when it was printed on film, it meshed it together. But what we're watching on the Blu-ray isn't the scan of the film, it's the actual master that is taken from. That didn't hold up very well. It's quite video.
You can tell
and these old HDW, F900s, they really had a serious case of lens fringing of,
especially around
chromatic
the edges,
aberration,
right? Kind of like beyond the center.
Yeah, definitely. And you could really see that, especially here. And it really feels there's a lot of green screen stuff in there.
Yes.
That looked very much like The Hobbit Part 2.
Yeah.
So that was one observation. So anyway, as we continue, so what happens is there's an explosion. What happened, right?
Oh, we covered the explosion.
Yes.
Let's keep going. Now we're entering a new scene, which is the meeting room.
The meeting room and
of Senator
Palpatine.
Well,
he's not the senator.
We don't know. He's not a senator. He's
Chancellor Palpatine. Palps.
And we're having a little bit of a conversation here. So
with the Jedi.
What's going on here is with the Jedi, yes.
And we're back with it. Remember how the Jedi were lazy guys in Episode 1?
Very lazy.
Jedi were here they are again. Look how this movie started.
Here they are going, I have to go to a meeting.
And he's
problems.
And Palpatine's like, I'm not aware of this.
No, the problem is that they're saying that if the Separatists... Palpatine wants to negotiate with the Separatists, and he wants to solve this conflict peacefully with negotiations. Windu is saying, what if negotiations don't work? And Palpatine's like, they'll work. And he's like, look, we'll keep the peace, not soldiers.
Because if this negotiation doesn't work with the Separatists, there's going to be a war.
Yeah, there's going to be a war.
And Yoda is, and then he's asking Yoda, is it going to come to war? And Yoda's like, dark side.
Yeah, Yoda answers with his riddles again. Yoda just loves speaking riddles in this.
He's like,
dark side, man.
Yeah, dark side, some forcey things. And we get no answer, basically, from Yoda.
Yeah, but the way this started, Jacob, I'm sorry, I have to say. I like the mysterious beginning, like 100% number one beginning, 00.00 beginning.
Yes.
But now it's like, here's the problem. The scenes have to be flowing into sort of like, take the plot thread, go with it emotionally, as well as plot-wise. And here, I think we were having a hard time understanding everything that was going on with the dialogue because the way they were delivered and the way it was...
That's the thing, though, that the dialogue isn't necessarily... Some scenes the dialogue is fine, but it's just difficult to read the characters. And so you don't know what the emphasis is on, and you don't know exactly what they're trying to accentuate when they're talking. And so when you have the scene like this, there's clearly some conflict going on that they have to resolve, but really what you get is like, okay, was it the bees?
Yeah, and so it's really the audience is doing the work, trying to, well, at least we are trying to decipher what's happening. And I had the same experience with Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3, trying to decipher this. And that's not a good sign.
To relate it, it's similar to Episode 1. Episode 1 very much had that same feeling.
Yeah.
So we're kind of thrown into the discussions. We have to pay attention.
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
So Padme comes in.
So the whole deal...
She's not even hyperventilating. You see, the thing would have been like, we have to go now. And then they could have... She and Patch-Eye Joe Eye Patch, whatever... They could have run over there. See, that gives them momentum. And she's like, I've been attacked. And they're like, whoa, you've been attacked.
Yeah.
But no, she just comes in. She has a pot on her head.
Yeah.
And she just sits there and it stands there and it's like, we have been attacked. Oh, and then Yoda's like, bring you here with warm feelings to my heart. And it's like,
Again, I don't think dialogue is necessarily.
And then she's like, who could be behind this? And then there's Jar Jar in the back. And we're like, oh, come on, man. What, Jar Jar's been elevated? I thought he was an idiot. He's not an idiot. But he is.
Well, the whole thing here is that we're trying to figure out what's going on, and the setup is that now
there was an attempt on her life.
So now they're trying to figure out what are we supposed to do with this. Like, how are we going to approach this? Do we have to do security? What are we going to do? They don't know exactly what to do.
And then Padme's
saying, "No, I don't need extra security."
Oh, she doesn't. Yeah, but then she also says, "Dooku's behind it all."
Oh yeah.
And then Mace Windu, the Jedi Bendu, comes in and says, "Count Dooku wouldn't hurt a fly."
He used to be a Jedi.
It's not in his character. He used to be a Jedi.
So definitely proof.
We've never met Count Dooku.
Right.
He was only on the opening crawl, where it said Count Dooku's leading the Separatists.
We're going to learn, actually, there's interesting Jedi logic here, which is
Jedi logic.
Quite full of flaws. Jedi logic, case number one.
Well, prequel Jedi logic, anyway.
Prequel Jedi logic. That's why I like the original films, because being a Jedi is not so much a
political thing. Yeah, institutional
thing. It's a personal thing. And so here we have institutional Jedi. And the first thing in the series of Jedi logic is, number one, if you were a Jedi before, you can do no wrong.
Oh, yes.
Rule number one. Mace Windu holds steadfast to this theory.
Yep. It's not in his character. Case closed.
Done. Forget about it, Padme. We ruled it out. Count Dooku is not behind this. Let's keep going.
But that's a flaw in the screenwriting.
Yes. Well, yes. I mean, that's the thing. I don't know. That's the thing. I never know how to think about these things.
I'll tell you how to think about these.
What is going when George Lucas wrote the script? What does he want us to think? Does he want us to think that the Jedi have flaws, or does he want us to think that this is correct reasoning with Mace Windu, for instance? What do you think?
I think he's trying to unsuccessfully.
Like maybe he's trying to say that the Jedi are too dogmatic. Maybe. Could that be?
Well, if that's the case, I don't remember anywhere where someone actually criticized them.
Yeah.
Unless they were the bad guys.
I think that approach, looking at that, would be generous. Like that could possibly.
Yes,
be.
But you're giving him a little too much.
Too much, you think?
Too much there, because I think that it just feels like George struggled to write the script and he finished something. He's like, "There, I'm done."
That's possible.
That's what it feels like,
That's
and
probable,
I'll go into more of that. So they're like, "It's not Count Dooku." Okay,
we're gonna arrange some security, and then Palpatine's like hinting.
He didn't try to assassinate you.
Yeah, we're hinting we need to get some security. Meet Obi-Wan, your old friend.
Oh yeah.
They can help you secure you.
An old friend. Who said that?
And this is the introduction.
Oh no, that's right. That Palpatine said an old friend's coming over. And she's like, okay. And then we cut, and then they're like, okay, we'll figure it out later. So then it transitions
introduction of Obi Mullet Wan.
Oh yeah,
and
with the Jedi mullet.
Anakin, fresh young Skywalker,
fresh young Canadian. You see?
Oh yeah,
it just
full circle.
Full circle. It's just like we connect everything. And they're going up the elevator to the top level to meet Padme. And we get our introduction to not Jake Lloyd. He's gone. The little kid, with tallies and this is pod racing.
Whoa! Anakin guy.
Yeah. To Anakin, the young man, with mullet Obi-Wan, as you said. So he's like, "You look nervous." And he's like, "I haven't."
So we're being introduced to the character of Anakin, who we will know better later on in the film.
Yeah. And he's like
his struggles to express himself properly.
Yep.
And so that's what we're getting basically in the scene, is that he's nervous. Obi-Wan here. I do like that Obi-Wan is a pretty good character in the sense that he's pretty calm. He's pretty calm, and he's kind of observant, and he's willing to be wrong sometimes, and he's kind of aware of the situation usually. He's not focused on himself too much, and I like that about Obi-Wan. I think that's a cool trait, and he does a good job in the story of doing his duty, being a good Jedi, and he's very on the correct track, so we can say. But there's some problems there with the politicians.
No, yeah, I remember that one. And I have to say, to Ewan McGregor's credit, I think he was the only one of the rare people on this cast that actually understood George's methodology. And it's funny because we can hear Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford in interviews talking about how working with George is a bit of a difficulty because George isn't a very actor's director. So he's like, just like what Harrison said once. He said, it's in the script and just do that. Do what it says on the script. Do that. Do it. And his direction is a little bit difficult in that regard for many actors. And I think Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, is the only one who sort of got it, and he was able to kind of play with it and get the good takes that George wanted.
He seemed to find a good space to kind of work in, right?
Without
having to so much kind of
lack of direction.
Yeah, and so I think it shows in the film compared to the rest of the characters.
So there we go. He's going up. He's like, relax, and he's like, I haven't seen her in such a long time. It's like, don't worry about it. And they talk about the nest of Gundarks. He was Gundarks.
Right, little past occurrences.
From episode
So this is setting
5.
up the Padme Anakin thing. That's gonna
Oh,
be
yes. So
a big thing.
They got up the elevator, and who was there to greet them? The Gungu.
The Gunga.
The Gunga.
The Gunga.
Bobby, this is so quiet to see you, sir.
Yeah, and so we get introduced.
I don't know. I look, as I said in episode 1, Jar Jar was not the problem in episode 1, but he is obnoxious, and he just comes in here and is just please, why are you a senator? Who are you? Why are you here? He should have been in Naboo.
I don't know.
Hanging out with the Kadus or whatever they have.
I didn't have that much
there.
of a problem with Jar Jar in this film.
Really?
No.
But he's very. But it feels like this is George Lucas's revenge after the huge backlash, and he's like, well, he's going to be a senator.
Listen, so smiling to kill you, sir.
Okay, sorry.
So we're getting reintroduced to the characters,
and he's like,
they're meeting each other again.
The Palos here.
And again, I think we can notice that here.
Yes.
It's part of the approach is that it's again difficult to read what's necessarily happening here because we know that the moment
that is the problem with
overall with the
direction.
Yeah, I mean, like we know the event that's happening here.
Yes.
The event is a reunion, and we know what's supposed to happen, and it kind of happens, but the characters don't feel like they're really.
Well, no, this entire
invested.
thing, like many scenes that that we're gonna go through, really felt like a fifth grade. Like there was one delivery that Samuel Jackson, and everybody knows Samuel Jackson is like an actor of boundless energy, and he just really delivers lines when he can,
Yes.
And he knows how to do all this stuff. He's natural at it. And here he delivers a performance that feels like he just came from a fifth grader's video. You know what I mean? And if he feels like a fifth grader reciting lines.
Yeah.
Just standing there and going,
it's unfortunate, but
blah, 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 blah. And it just felt, it was like, wow.
Well, it was also weird because a lot of the lines, it really feels like the characters in the movie are just, they have to be saying something, so they just say it instead of, the characters don't feel like they want to say these lines. It's just like they're just saying them because whatever.
Yeah. And so they get reintroduced. Obi-Wan's there, and she's like, Annie, my goodness, you've grown. And he's like, so have you. More beautiful.
Again, difficult to read. I have no idea what he's trying to say here.
For a senator, I mean.
It's supposed to be awkward.
Annie, you'll always be that little boy I knew on Tatooine.
Master.
And then I felt like, ooh. Well, now this is like, I'm looking at the story because there's a little bit of emotion. She's giving a little emotion to the camera. And so I'm like, aw, Anakin, we know what he's feeling.
Yeah.
So they go and I love this. And then there's this one shot like in the room where they just conversation over. Everyone moves to the couch right here.
Definitely a
and they
scene
start
there.
talking about like, we're here to find your killer.
He's like, I do not need protection.
Killer.
And Anakin is.
She doesn't need protection. And then Anakin's trying to pull on the moves. And he's like,
line from Anakin.
Well, he first says, we'll find her. Look, Jib, you know that I know how to do Hayden Christensen's voice. I can do the Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan. But for some reason, it's not working today.
I need to listen to it and remember what we talked about.
We're here to look for your killer.
And he's like,
trust me, Padme.
We will find him.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, Anakin, listen to me.
Yeah, what is he trying to say?
Obi-Wan is basically embarrassing him because Anakin is trying to impress Padme.
Yeah, he's like, we got it down.
Obi-Wan is saying, hey, whoa. He's like, listen to me, I'm your master.
We'll do as the council instructed. Orders. Oh, the council.
And Anakin is like, no, we'll find him and whatever. And he says,
what?
It's overkill, master.
Oh, yes.
So he's telling Killmaster that it's over.
That's how he
he delivered it.
Delivered. He said, "It's over, Killmaster."
Sounds like.
And when I was a kid, most of the time watching this movie, I always thought he said Killmaster. Like that's sort of like a slang in Star Wars Galaxy terms. Yo, that's so Wizard, Annie. It's over, Killmaster.
It could have been, but it's supposed to be. It's overkill, master.
It's over, Killmaster.
Yeah. It's the same, actually. It sounds the same. Like
it's like, okay, cool. And then there's a little awkward moment, which was pretty well, I guess. It was okay. The awkward moment where they're arguing.
Yeah. That was okay.
And then, one eye patch Joe is like,
It's like, well, we're happy you're here. We're going to protect Padme. And so she leaves and she says, I will have to retire. And like, I don't know, lines like that kind of.
Yeah. And she's giving this, there's a lot of that.
And so
then
it begins. Oh, no. Yeah. And then we're introduced to
the nighttime in Coruscant, because this all takes place in Coruscant, where the entire planet, one big city.
And Django goes...
No, Django, it's Zam.
Sorry, Zam.
Zam the assassin.
We don't know who Django is.
And then this was another... Please, look at this. This is a textbook example of... When I was 10, I would direct it like this, without any knowledge. And I'm so sorry. A very huge apologies to George Lucas. I mean, that guy's great. But I this is an honest thing to say.
Right. She
comes out of her little speeder, whatever, and then in the murky, seedy bit in Coruscant, little shadowy area, meets this mysterious figure, and goes, "I hit the ship, but they used a decoy." And she's like waving her hands, like I have footage of when I was a kid recording some other kids who weren't even good at acting. That's how they would deliver a line.
Having a hard time paying attention.
Yeah, I hit the ship, but they used a decoy. And then we all know it's Django. This is the big thing. Like maybe we don't.
I'm trying to think. I think I probably would have known. I think so.
We're talking about it with our supposed posters and stuff. But if without presupposing, we don't know who this guy is.
The glove and things like that.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like you would.
Yeah, it's not very. It's not very.
And he goes, use this. Use these poisonous worms.
Oh, crikey. No, he's not.
She's
Australian. He's a Kiwi.
I will use these poisonous worms.
Yes, and she goes and uses the poisonous worms.
And now we have an awesome discussion here.
Oh, yes. There's your awesome discussion. So it's nighttime on the top floor with Obi-Wan and Anakin.
And they're talking about their senses, and Obi-Wan is saying how...
And he's like, do you miss your mother?
Oh, yes. And he's like, yes. And, well, that's okay. I mean, that's good, because like we're getting introduced to Anakin's troubled time after he left Tatooine. So he's having problems. I mean, this is a real thing for him, which is good, I think.
And then he's like, why did Padme turn off her security camera? She didn't like me looking at her.
Oh, you're using it as bait. And he's saying, it was her idea. And he says, it'll never work. Trust me, my senses, I can sense everything in there. And Obi-Wan says, my senses are more attuned than yours.
Yeah, my senses.
And he goes, you sure about that? Or something like that? And he goes, possibly.
Yeah.
And that's a little conversation to have. And then it moves on to, is it for talking about the politics?
Yeah.
And so he's talking about Palpatine and having a debate where Anakin is saying, not all politicians are bad people.
Not all
Palpatine is a good guy. And Obi-Wan goes, he's a politician. He's not to be trusted.
And they're not to be trusted.
So that's another Jedi logic rule number 2.
Well, we laughed at that.
It's so funny because I know that's what they learn in the Jedi school. Yeah. And they're like, people not to be trusted. Politicians, blah, 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 blah. Like categories of 10 people.
Trust our dogmatic centrist, like branch of...
like these people, they're people you just cannot trust, ever.
Yeah.
Regardless. Politicians, not to be trusted. So,
but trust a council that knows nothing. And they're lazy.
I love, though, that Anakin says, again, no, he's a good person. And he goes, he's a politician. It's like, that's his rebuttal, is just, back to the textbook. He's a politician.
I think he's a good man. So
that
anyway,
was a funny conversation.
The little assassin droid that Zam uses. So this is a stupid thing. Like if you're an assassin, and the assassin goes and hires another assassin, a bounty hunter's hiring another assassin, and that assassin's using a droid to assassinate someone.
To ship over the evil worms.
The evil worms.
The worms that are genetically biologically in tune to just kill anything that that's in front of them. That's all they do is just kill.
Kill. There's no sign of life. Oh, there's a sign of life here.
Killworms, take him.
But here's the thing: wouldn't she just sit outside the window and snipe
him? Sniper, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean,
with a blaster.
Simple things.
What is this? This was so contrived. I'm so sorry.
And so this is the whole thing, right? They go and the worms try to kill her, and then
he's like,
the Jedi sense him. They go and
sense the evil worms. They slice up the worms. Boom, boom.
Obi-Wan jumps out the window and catches the droid.
Yep. And then there's this big action scene. First
action scene in the film.
Yep.
Besides that explosion. So he's flying through the city with this droid.
Yeah, and Anakin's taking the banana ship.
Anakin takes the banana ship.
Well, the banana speeder,
flies in, saves Obi-Wan, and we get a little bit of dialogue here.
And Zam escapes with her ship because
we get a bit of little dialogue here.
And Zam had the sniper rifle, and she sniped down the droid that was, instead of just shooting Obi-Wan in the head.
She's like, not part of the plan.
And she could have just gone herself and sniped the queen,
nope, she was paid
the senator.
To use the kill worms.
Well, why doesn't Django just go and assassinate her himself?
He's busy. Django's a busy man.
Okay, so then there's the big chase scene. What do you think about the chase scene? Visually speaking, I really like the city environment. The Coruscant environment looked great. It reminded me a little bit of Jedi Knight.
That's true.
Nar Shaddaa.
That's true. And the sound effects, great sound effect for the ship of Zam.
Well, Ben Burtt always does great job with sound effects. And I believe this movie should have gotten the Academy Award for sound effects, beating Two Towers, because what did Two Towers do?
Oliphants?
There were no well, there was.
They were pretty good.
Well, like what? To war!
It's difficult. I can't say. I think
I would put my money on this because Ben Burtt really did a good. Like, there's so many distinctive sounds in this. All three of those creatures at the end, great sounds. And this, we all love that ship sound. I love it. Zam's ship. Woo!
There we go.
And you used the guitar and you did the exact same thing.
Yeah, with the delay and the distortion. You could totally get that. Great sounds.
So anyway, Obi-Wan and Anakin are arguing about stuff. He's like, "What took you so long?" And Obi-Wan and Anakin's like, "Oh, I couldn't find the right speeder."
But here's the thing: not a bad bit of dialogue, but
the delivery. Yeah, we couldn't tell if he was serious or he was joking.
When I first watched it a long time ago, I believed him. I thought he was looking for the speeder.
Yeah, and I thought his force reflexes were so
he has
fast.
To pick the correct speeder to maximize the speed of efficiency and. Where are we now?
And Obi-Wan says, "If you practice your wit as much as your swordsmanship, you would rival Master Yoda." And he's like, "I thought I already did." And he's like, "Only in your mind, my very young apprentice." Sorry, I'm not doing Ian McGregor very well.
Only in your mind, my very young apprentice.
That sounds like Palpatine. I'm mixing it all up. Maybe it was the cider.
The cider.
Anyway,
lines,
big old chase happens, and he goes.
Let's kind of go
and then there's another embarrassing thing where he's like, "Anakin, how many times have I told you, stay away from power couplings?" What does Anakin do with power couplings?
I think it's supposed to be basically telling you that their background in the past 10 years has been kind of witty.
Yeah, I know, but it needs work.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Let's get through this chase scene.
Big old chase scene. I think
there's really nothing too much to comment about until they get down.
Yeah, and they crash down.
Anakin makes a call, and he kind of...
And then Anakin's like, "If you'll excuse me," and he falls down. Remember that? He jumps down, and then Obi-Wan says, "I hate it when he does that." Is this a regular occurrence in their Jedi training?
Jumping out of banana ships.
Anakin, not the banana ship again! You'll jump out of it!
But you know I like it, Master.
But I like it, Master.
It's true.
I hate it when he does that.
And so they finally get down
and also the lightsaber, there's the running gag with the lightsaber. He's like, "You dropped this lightsaber, Anakin.
This weapon is yours.
Stop dropping the lightsaber." Anyway,
no, Master.
Zam crashes down into one of the pedestrian zones. We've never seen a pedestrian zone in Coruscant. True. Bunch of aliens. And of course, many of the effects, they do not hold up.
Droid football.
And then they go into the bar.
Yeah.
Anakin runs in, and he's like... There we go. Anakin runs in, and he's like, "I think he's a she, and she's a changeling." That's not relevant, because they didn't, if she's a changeling... Is she able to change different forms? Because what is the point then? Couldn't she just be an alien to begin with? I don't understand.
I don't know. All I know is that, for
instance, he's like, and then Obi-Wan goes, "Here, your lightsaber. This weapon is your life." And it's like, wait a second. I thought Yoda in Episode 5.
True.
It's like, weapons? Do not need them.
See, different philosophy here. Here it's all about structure.
But listen,
it's all about institution.
I would have loved this if George had this. I don't know if maybe he had this in his head, but he just didn't deliver it right. Is that we find out in the prequels that the Jedi are dogmatic.
See, that's what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, that would have been okay because then we realize.
And then we find out that they reformed.
Some...
They reformed in episodes 4, 5,
See, that would be
6.
cool. That's a nice arc there because then we're coming back to the basics of what it is to be a Jedi and not simply institutions and lightsaber is your life.
Yeah.
Rule book, number 3.
Yeah, and then so they get into the CD.
Yeah, so I was going to say like
the CD bar. This is very much like Tatooine, but now we see a different planet.
But see, I think Obi-Wan
in the cusp of the galactic civilization.
Obi-Wan,
it's pretty much B-dubs.
It is a B-dubs, absolutely. Obi-Wan, for instance, is showing us that he's kind of easygoing, and again, he's observant, and he's getting a drink, and he's not.
Where you go?
He's not making the amateur mistakes.
Where you going, Master? Get a drink.
But again, it's a little bit.
And then we have to say a cameo moment with our actor. Well, he's not our friend, but we know of him. Who plays Mouse in The Matrix. He comes in.
You want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death.
It was great. I'm sorry.
I
just had to mention that
too.
Because I think this is an Australian production because they filmed all this in Australia.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. 2 and 3 were filmed in Australia.
Interesting.
And I'm sure
Australian, maybe actor, maybe. Good cameo there. And anyway,
Ahmed Best is there and Anthony Daniels.
We got to keep moving, I think.
Yeah, and then the mystery goes on, and
they capture Zam. Is that her name?
Yeah.
And she gives some information about. She was close to revealing who the killer was, and she gets killed.
And she's like, "This is another flaw." Okay, she's like, he's like, "Who sent you?" It was just a job, and then he's like, "Who sent you?"
Tell us now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us
now.
And then she's like, "It was a bounty hunter called," and she gets shot with a dart. And then they turn around, and they see the guy who shot her fly away. And we all know
it's the guy.
It's the guy. And for some reason, Obi-Wan and Anakin don't just drop her,
Philip,
use the Force, stop him, bring him back, and go dun 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 dun. And then what they could, or at least take the speeder, just get a photo, something. And also, Boba Fett, Django, it has to be Django.
Mm-hmm.
I know this wasn't revealed yet, but
the posters and everything.
Okay, this character, this mysterious character with the jetpack. Why didn't he just shoot Obi-Wan or Anakin? Both of them, preferably.
Busy man.
Got no time for this.
No time for this. Just go shoot
I'm going to aim right in the middle, right into Zam Wixel.
Yeah.
Or Wessel, or whatever.
I don't know. But, I have to admit, though, like, it's in one of those situations, you couldn't do too much. I'm going to be defending the movie here. Because, for instance, Jango Fett, he flies away. Who knows where he's going? Even if you got a speeder, he'd be long gone. You couldn't catch him. And the Force powers, that's debatable. I don't know if Obi-Wan and Anakin together
together
push him, pull him. I don't know. Maybe, but I think that's unlikely.
I just think it should have been different. I think she should have had like an explosive in her chest, and Jango would be far away, presses the button.
Fair enough. And then we wouldn't know who to do.
No.
Fair enough.
And but this is also stupid because the Force thing is that the clue gets pinned onto her neck, and then Obi-Wan is like, "Oh, this is a clue.
Find out."
Well, thank you, Jango.
Yeah, the whole mystery thing is it's one of those things where I think that you can kind of go along with it if you want to, but at the same time, it feels like it's not.
So
really
anyway, this action scene is once again dropped. The momentum drops, just like the first action scene with the explosion.
We're back at the tenured.
We're back with the council. These bureaucrats. They're complaining about the bureaucrats, and
here they're going.
And here they're just like.
Obi-Wan and Anakin, if you want to catch this guy, please fill out Form 105.
Yeah, exactly.
Council.
Thanks,
bring it back signed by your brother. And maybe we'll approve it then and make sure you go to the library.
I don't have a brother.
This, and, we need signatures and
they
make sure it's registered online.
I don't remember what they say at this point, but then there's this weird scene with Palpatine and Anakin in his office.
I think it's okay because it's kind of setting up the...
Yeah, but it's not organically placed in the movie. No. It's not traveling with
I'm trying to give the movie as much credit as possible.
Well, I'm trying to give it credit, but when I'm watching this, I'm really objectively trying to see...
Yes, I agree. Honestly, because when a scene
the scene is sound. It's sound in its intention.
But the problem is that when you know what a scene is supposed to be for, then it kind of loses its purpose, because then you're going, oh, I know this is supposed to be for this.
Yes.
And as soon as that's there, it's like, because good movies draw you in and you go, oh, like, what's happening here? What are the characters talking about? But here you know, oh, it's setting it up and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm with you on that. But I feel like I'm with you on that. But I'm just saying, like,
and it's like, you're going to be a cool guy.
By itself, you know, it's okay, I think. Okay, here we go. Back to some Jedi Temple.
Yeah, the higher ups, right?
Yeah, the higher ups talking about Anakin being arrogant and Yoda.
He's like, his powers have made him arrogant, and Yoda's like, Arr!
No.
What does he say?
Yoda points to and says that recent young Jedis have also been arrogant. So
yeah, well, does that go anywhere, Jacob?
It doesn't go anywhere, but it's kind of interesting.
All right.
Something's happening. Maybe the dogmatic ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't happen. Nothing happens with that. That's pretty much it for that scene.
Really? That's just his...
What else? That's all he says.
Oh yeah, he's also... And then Mace Windu is like,
arrogant.
the prophecy says, the prophecy.
Okay, what do you think about the prophecy?
I don't like prophecies.
Me neither.
They're too many.
It doesn't make sense. And it's just strange because, they're hinging everything on this prophecy, and I don't know, it just seems like...
And Yoda looks like he came from PlayStation 3.
Like, the thing is, why can't these Jedi be a little bit more, critical thinking? Why don't they go like, okay...
No.
It's just prophecy.
Look, I have a game to watch tonight.
and then tomorrow I have to go to work.
Yeah.
Oh,
and so no, I think the idea is that now, because of the threat of Padme's life, is that she has to go back somewhere in hiding.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that Anakin is chosen. Why? Even though Obi-Wan's like, I saw what you're pulling the moves on Padme, and we're forbidden to love, which is a stupid rule, but I mean, whatever.
Yep. But anyway, we'll send you.
We'll send you, yes. We could send Plo Koon, who's doing nothing, sitting there.
In the council.
No.
Anakin, you're the one.
All right. And he's like, yeah. And he goes, and they have this conversation in her room again. And Padme's wearing those, hearkening to the past or the future in the canonicity. The buns, the cinnamon buns, except now they're kind of like little cinnamon shells on her head, and she's talking about how it's unfair, and Anakin's like, yeah, it's unfair, and then she's like, oh, you grew up, Anakin, and Anakin's like, yeah, he's holding me back, but yeah, and she's like, don't look at me like that, and there's a little bit of,
you said it yourself,
yeah, and then she's like, yeah, and he's like, I'm really powerful, and they're holding me back because I'm so powerful, and so I don't know where this is going. It's really difficult to...
I think it's supposed to be kind of like Anakin is, showing his...
skills.
No, showing his immaturity.
Yeah, and then she's like, don't look at me like that. Like, what?
It's weird, right?
And then she's like, it's uncomfortable. And she walks away, and there's this lingering shot of Anakin going, But I understand.
What do you think?
I understand that Lucas was trying to be a little humorous, that he's still looking at her, and then if only Hayden gave a better facial expression that didn't look like he was a creeper, it would have been funny, because then he would be like, and then you would understand.
It would be Han Solo-esque.
It would be exactly, and I think that's what Lucas is trying to get to, and it just didn't work, and there's a lot of things that don't work like that. So they go to the airport, which is cool. Galactic Airport. Never saw that before. There's a lot of blue screen in this movie. I mean, you can tell how it's not
much
so well rotoed.
The first one.
It's very Hobbit-like.
Pumpkin-esque.
Yeah, but this is the beginning. This is the precursor for all these films, and I think when we watched it on film, this is the one that really was so heavy with, at least major motion picture wise.
Right.
With
post-processing.
Mm-hmm. And Obi-Wan, and they're about to leave for Padme to be hidden, right?
They have to travel as refugees.
Yes, because she is being the attack.
Let's get back to the plot. So she's leaving
because she was being threatened by someone or something.
Who was probably Jango Fett, but whatever.
Jango Fett, but whatever.
She has to leave and go to her home planet Naboo because she knows it well.
Yeah, but the weirdest thing is, wouldn't the assassinators, wouldn't they know to go to Naboo first?
Jango is so busy, he didn't have time to research these things.
No, there's no time, though.
I got a job. It's in Coruscant. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm leaving.
Yeah. So Obi-Wan is telling him, watch out. And then one good performance happens where The actress who plays in the future Moira McTaggart in X-Men First Class gives a little tear, and it was so nice.
Refreshing.
I really liked it.
You're going,
And then they're like, okay, see you later, right?
Yeah.
Bye-bye. And she's wearing some kind of interesting outfit, Padme is. And then he's like, I hope he doesn't try anything foolish. And then Eye Patch Joe says, I'd be more married for her than him. and then you can hear his suppressed New Zealand accent, which is great. And
Joe Patch.
Yeah. And the big old ship goes away. And it's pretty cool to see. You know, I really like the ideas behind that. And then Obi-Wan pays a visit to Dex.
His old diner.
Oh, in this
friend.
diner. It's a really nice
Clearly
area in Coruscant. And of course, George Lucas has a big nostalgia for the 50s.
But you know what's funny? I think that this diner actually works, honestly. I mean,
I like it. It's perfect.
It doesn't feel 50s diner. It feels actually Star Warsy.
So I think this is the one Star Wars movie that had the most diners.
Really?
Most restaurants.
Let's think.
Yeah, there was the one in Coruscant, and there's the one here, Dex's Diner.
Yeah. Oh.
And Obi-Wan meets with an old friend. I'm putting hashtags quotes. I'm putting quotes, quotation marks here, because we've never heard of him, and he just walks in, and then this robot, which I like, Josie the robot from the Jetsons, or her sister, is like, someone need to see you, honey.
Or her granddaughter. No,
you know,
far, far away.
Again, the tradition continues where the CG characters are more life-like than the live-action actors. And Jedi by the looks of him. So people know about Jedi. And then remember, back then Anakin was like, Jedi business, return to your drinks.
Yeah.
I was thinking, how are Jedi perceived?
I was thinking the exact same thing, because I wonder...
Are they police officers? Are they...
Because I think, this is my opinion, it seems like in the prequels, so the Jedi, it's kind of institutionalized, because it's difficult to gauge, but it seems like not everyone believes in the Force in the Star Wars galaxy, right? So it seems like the Jedi do have the Force on their side, and it is kind of evidence that it does exist, but still, I think probably not everyone believes in it. But there is, they are kind of, the democracy, upholds the Jedi as some kind of a
important branch
entity, important branch of keeping the peace, and maybe, keeping that thing intact.
I get you.
So it seems like I would probably say most people, I bet it's divided. Like some people probably look at them skeptically, like there's some weird people that do crazy things, and maybe some other people are thinking, oh, these are really good guys.
Overprivileged.
Or maybe that. And some people probably think that they're, it's good that they're there to protect the peace, and they're also promoting some kind of higher, sense of
culture.
learning and culture.
That's
and
cool.
That's
cool.
I think it probably is divided, probably.
And he goes and meets his cool alien friend, which looks cool. I like him. Salt and pepper mustache.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he's like, "Oh, buddy. Hey, Obi-Wan." And again, like I said, character, right? The CGI, not so great. It looked great on film, but when you're looking at the HD master, not so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just like there's something about this. It feels like they had so much work for this movie that they had to skim on rendering time.
You think so?
Like, look at it. I mean, it ain't no Gollum.
But come on, I'm sure they had like the funds to get all those servers.
But it feels like they really had a lot at work.
Maybe.
And this is like the first, and the processors at the time probably
weren't great.
Yeah, the teraflops. They just weren't floppy enough. They just weren't on the level yet.
Yeah, it's very possible.
And then more advancements happened later on.
It was better.
But yeah, I think this is the thing. This is the movie that is an important stepping stone for technology in filmmaking, and I think it might be that the case is. So anyway, this four-armed monster, he's like, "Yeah, what's up?"
He's gonna give some real advice.
What can I do for you?
He's gonna give some real advice about this dart that Obi-Wan found.
He's like, "I found this dart that Jango fed, but we all know it's not supposed to be Jango. Hush, hush." Hit.
He's like, "It wasn't my robots."
He's like, "Oh, look."
He said, "My robots didn't figure it out."
I like that little dialogue. That was good.
Yeah.
If robots, if the droids could think, we all wouldn't be here.
Yeah, because Dax, is that his name?
Dex.
He's learning. Dex. He's learning to saying how, like, your robots are supposed to know everything. You know, like saying like, hey, you need some actual.
Yeah.
Some
so there's some stuff that could have been more developed, would have been great.
Yeah.
And he's looking at this dart, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it belongs to one of them cloners."
Like cloners.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's like the little scratches that.
Yeah, and he's talking about the symbols, or not the symbols.
And Django should have really thought about getting a different dart.
He's too busy.
No time. And and then he's like, the analysis droids couldn't see it, and they're like, yeah, the analysis droids they couldn't see it, and then he's like, well, I thought you were supposed to know the difference between knowledge and wisdom. This really feels like what you were saying, like trying to show that the Jedi aren't, they've been relaxing too much.
Yeah, I mean, like they're
turning to
not
idiots.
So much, yeah, not idiots, but they're not rethinking some of their
methods.
Their methods. They should really think about them.
Yeah. So anyway, he goes to the library, the Jedi Archive library. Now, by the way, did you notice how the pace of this film is completely strange?
Yeah. Well, it's the same
Episode
thing with the
one
first one.
had at least the reminder that something was happening, and it didn't pull it off well. The ticking time bomb, which was, "Our people are dying, Senator."
True.
This
is more
the
like,
assassination thing, but it's like casual.
Well, because we know it's not a real threat.
It's more like Star Lounge.
Yeah. And so, yeah, or Star Minor Conflicts?
Star Business.
Star Problems.
Star Problems.
We got a problem.
Oh,
we'll fix it sometime.
We'll figure it out. Obi-Wan's...
That's true, though.
So he's like
that.
Camino, huh?
Yeah, Camino.
Huh. Goes to the Jedi Archives to check it out at the library, which looks pretty cool. And then this stuck-up witch comes in. This evil woman. No, I'm just kidding. She's not that bad. She's just...
But she also has a lot of trust in the archives.
Yeah. And he's like, it's supposed to be over here in the galaxy.
And everyone's like,
It doesn't exist!
If it's not in the archives,
He's not the
And
Messiah!
everyone's like, wait a minute, that doesn't check out. And she's like, no, it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist!
He's like, I'm gonna go talk to Yoda. Yoda might be able to show my purpose.
But no, we cut back to Anakin and Padme. Inside
yes.
I love this. I'm sorry, I have to say, this
Okay.
was a good moment where we see R2 trying to get some food or something, to serve probably Anakin and Padme. And then this droid who's making the food, he's like,
Hey, no droids. Get out of here.
I like that because he's a droid.
kinda the old
And the area
news.
looked cool, except it felt like it wasn't worn down enough. It felt like a bunch of people
It was a
had
little
put a
too
few
clean.
boxes and put a little bit of fog and
I guess I think
and,
I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent on this, but
there's a bunch of aliens. They're all sitting there. This is like
So here
this
we
is
go
their
with
flight, their airship,
with the conversation
Spaceship.
about
loving. And he's like,
Loving.
we would like we're encouraged to love in the Jedi. And she's like, you're not allowed to love. And it's like, that's about all that happens,
Pretty much.
And Anakin gives some creepy looks again.
But it
which
is true. It's like I don't
unfortunate.
really, again, it's this thing where I don't understand why the Jedi have these types of rules. It kind of.
Yeah, I mean, this could have been easy, and it could have easily just been, a secret. Didn't have to have any rules behind it.
What do you mean?
Like they could have just.
Like it's discouraged but unofficially, or what do you mean?
Yeah. Obi-Wan would be like, why are you? You have a job, and then
Obi-Wan would be like, you can't trust her. Why? She's a woman. It's like Obi-Wan.
she's a women and politician, and she's both.
Double.
Yeah. So Obi-Wan is a man on the mission, going off. We find our silent blue-headed fin-head alien Jedi.
You mean the guy you can slice his neck?
No.
he's not
The
there
fin-head Jedi. The guy right here. Look at him.
I can't see. I mean the guy who shows up later.
Yeah. He was showed up at the beginning. You're like, oh,
He's kind of a.
Yeah. So he's going to
major-
the super spick and spam clean Jedi temple.
Mm-hmm.
What I like about the Jedi Temple is it looks a lot like the convention center in Indianapolis.
That's true.
So it was a great time to be there when it was the Star Wars convention. But anyway, he's talking to the younglings. We love the younglings because they're all having Han Solo's little training ball
remote
thing,
ball.
and almost those helmets.
Now
but
here's
not the
something I
same.
wondered about. Ready?
All right.
We
So
all
what is
say-
the deal?
We all say that the prequels took the idea from the Millennium Falcon of the remote training remote, and they put it in the Jedi Temple. What if Han Solo picked up one of those balls,
Oh.
but they were originally from the temple?
Oh.
Reverse.
what a great coincidence that he had it on the... And Obi-Wan's like, oh, I haven't seen one of these in a
there were
long
millions
time.
of these made back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like you found these on a dump
They're
heap
multi-purpose.
when the Empire was destroying everything.
Yeah, there you go.
Could have been. But I think, it's...
And Yoda's teaching little kids.
Yes.
And they're little kids. And then he's like, Liam, lights.
Good old Liam.
Good old little Liam.
Little Liam. And Obi-Wan has to go get advice from kids.
Again, this would have been better handled if George would just, brush up on his directing.
Just so it flows.
Yeah.
Because this isn't a bad
No,
scene.
and it would be great because when Yoda's like,
Lost planet he has not found. How embarrassing.
and then all the kids will be like, but they kind of
it feels a little forced, yeah.
And Obi-Wan's like, all right. Here. And he brings his little
That's awesome, though.
planetarium thing.
That's cool.
Showing the entire galaxy. He's like, it ought to be right here. And Yoda's like, Hah! And he's like, and Obi-Wan says like, but the Jedi archives, they don't have them. And he's like, and then it's like,
the lady told me, therefore they don't exist.
What lady?
Archive lady.
No!
And
Don't trust her.
And he says, gravity is pulling all these stars.
But it should be here. And then Liam, I'm going to pretend that's Liam.
Let's pretend.
He says,
Someone erased it from the archive memory.
Which is cute.
yeah.
It's a cute little
Yeah.
archive memory.
With his chubby cheeks. He's so chubby cheeks. And, haha, your baby fat face says the truth. And Yoda says, go!
To your system,
Yeah.
you will find it. Everyone's like,
Yeah, I'm a stupid idiot, aren't I? I should have done this from the beginning.
but the archives. And then he goes.
Again, this is another thing that really feels like it feels like the dogmatic Jedi who just...
I know, right?
Yeah. So anyway, we go back to Naboo. We're back at Naboo. Isn't that crazy?
That is interesting.
And then we even get a good shot of the...
What?
This is right there, right next to the
first one?
The port. Yeah, that's where Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon fought. That's the hangar.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, wow.
And what I wish would have happened is like Anakin looks at it or something, but we don't get any of that. We kind of just get them, going to business. Dun, 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 dun.
And making jokes as well.
And then they start talking about the United States of America.
That's right. No, the United States of the Republic.
Right, yeah. And she's talking about her elective history. Her legislative history.
Yeah, her 2 terms.
Yeah.
They were thinking about amending the Constitution.
Yeah, the Constitution of what, Naboo?
The Republic.
Or the Republic,
They have
I don't
a Constitution.
know. Well, Naboo has a Constitution.
It's perfectly 2 terms.
And their Declaration of Independence.
They have a House. They have a Senate.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Queen instead of president, but same function.
Yeah, separations of Gungus and humans.
Yep. See? All kinds of problems. They probably had a civil war, I bet.
The Gungan Civil War!
Yes.
Oh!
See? It all makes sense.
I want to see that.
The
I want to
United
see
States
that
of the
movie.
Republic
Let's
is
go.
real.
Star Wars Legends movie. That's one.
That's the one. There's a new one that's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get a nice little,
Yeah. So anyway, there's the new queen. She looks like, because she's Indian, for some reason she has this interesting, like her eyebrows can go all the way up if she's frowning. And this queen,
Yeah.
And I always expect her to start, going, what are you doing? And so I wish that happened, but it didn't. So then they're talking about something. What were they talking about?
I think they're trying to think of what they can do, how to protect, or where Amidala should go. And Amidala...
Are you okay, Jacob?
I'm looking at the subtitles.
Oh, yeah, he's like...
Oh, new gun ray. See...
And then Shakespeare guy is back.
He's angry.
And I was like, get him out of office. He's done.
Shakespeare guy?
He's old, and he was annoying in the first one.
Though, wasn't he?
You must contact me. Oh, by the way, Naboo is still pretty much made of the politicians.
Yeah, no one else lives there. Politicians are refugees.
Yes.
Yeah, he's kind of annoying. And Newt Gunray.
So he's like, after so many years, Newt Gunray.
Which I used to tell
Stop
me.
with that.
Guys. Yeah.
Yes, as you know,
The
located
green alien with the bug eyes.
Yeah. Nemoidian.
He's still...
Viceroy of the Trade Federation.
Wait, Trade Federation is bad guys? Or...
Yep, the bad guys.
Okay.
The ones that were the main
Yeah,
antagonists in the
one.
first movie.
And then talking about that. And then...
And she's like, we must keep our faith in the
Republic.
Republic.
Next part. Yeah, the Republic. the United States Republic. And then she says she has to go somewhere safe.
Yep.
Padme says, "I'm gonna go home. I know."
Oh, and then look, we are like 40 minutes into the movie, and she's like, "The day we stop believing in the Republic is the day that democracy fails." And it's like, and I stopped for a second, and I thought, this movie is called Star Wars Adventure, and then I remembered Episode 4, 5, and 6. There was battles, there was adventures, there were heroes on both sides. And I'm stuck here for 40 minutes watching Republics and Anakin going, Master, Padme, milady, I'm from Reddit, He's from Reddit.
Yeah.
So Obi-Wan finally gets into space and uses those cool hyperdrive boosters.
Those are pretty cool.
And gets to
also that's pretty cool.
The planet he
Kamino.
found, which is stupid. I mean, seriously, like he could have just got there immediately. Kamino, right here. And then he's like,
and I think if we would give the movie credit about this dogmatic Jedi thing, the problem with that is that it's not emphasized enough. It's too subtle. So therefore, but both don't work. Both don't work because, the mystery doesn't work because Obi-Wan should have just done it. And second of all, if he is just trusting all these archives and stuff, it's not emphasized. So both approaches, unfortunately, just don't work.
Yeah. Okay.
But Kamino is cool.
Yes. Visually speaking, all the places we've been to so far, I really loved the look of them, and I liked their production design. Yeah. And even the music, we won't even fault because most of it is great. The new stuff matches what was intended. Not necessarily what the movie deserved, but what was intended. Like when he goes to Kamino,
this kind of mysterious, dark, rainy planet. It's great. Isn't it great?
And the mystery music, I love this. This one is the most Star Wars, prequel Star Wars, sort of nostalgic thing for me, where it goes that where either it's the trombone or the tuba. Bum 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 bum. It's so good. I love that stuff. No faults there.
Definitely not.
So he comes into the rainy Kamino, which is cool. The rain planet, right, with the water.
I like it.
And it's the mystery planet. It's the planet that no one knows about, remember?
Yeah.
Because someone erased it from the ark. Who could it be?
We'll find out.
It's not in his character.
And here.
He goes into the tall alien people. I don't know what they're called. They're just from Kamino. And this woman, well, not woman, this alien, woman comes in and she's like, Master Jedi Obi-Wan. Did she know her? No, it's just Master Jedi. Master Jedi. We've been expecting you. And he's like, what? Yeah.
But it's funny because I was saying they seem like a race that could.
Yeah, you said that. That's pretty good. So I think all that works well.
Yeah.
And they have these
this
crazy
surreal atmosphere where these aliens, their probably concept of time is
their concept of
totally
time
different.
is
So it works. Like
I like it. And she's like, I'm Lama Su, and we thought you weren't gonna be here, and so let's have you meet this person because we are almost ready with the. And then Obi-Wan's like, oh, clones, oh.
He's like, oh, of course, clones, yes.
Well, that's why I'm here. And they go in, and he's like,
hello, I am Lama Su, I guess.
Sit on this spoon.
Sit on this spoon.
I have my spoon, you have your spoon.
And
Lama Su, get us more spoons.
I think he's Lama Su.
Oh.
The main guy.
Really?
The John Hurt sounding guy. He's not John Hurt,
right.
but I think he's... Yeah, and he's like...
And this room looks like a ramen bowl.
What's ramen? And now comes the thing. No. Now comes the thing where Lama Su tells Obi-Wan,
could you inform Master Cypher Diaz that his order is almost done?
Sorry, Master who?
Cypher Diaz?
Master Cypher Diaz?
He married Cameron.
Diaz.
Yes.
Jedi are not allowed to read tabloid magazines. I'm sorry.
I'm not a Jedi. Okay, so...
Anyway, he gets...
Master who? Master Cypher Diaz.
So Obi-Wan clearly doesn't know what's going on. Yeah. He doesn't know about this order. He doesn't know about the Jedi. And he's disappointed.
And he says, Master Cypher Diaz was killed almost 10 years ago.
To this day.
Oh. Well, there's some clones.
Do you want the army?
Sure.
Let us look at the army.
I think that's about the gist
that's just the conversation.
But here's the thing: when he says Saifa Diaz, is it supposed to be something that we are supposed to go, who's Saifa Diaz? And why was he killed almost 10 years ago? And who is this man? I just don't understand. That's an unsolved mystery. But what I will say is that there was a fan theory a long time ago in a galaxy very near to us. In fact, it was ours. Same solar system, same planet. Where actually my friend Chris Purdy,
what about him?
He said that maybe Saifa Diaz was actually Qui-Gon's pseudonym. And he was actually the bad guy all along because he actually went 10 years before, he went to order the clone thing under Sidious.
Okay.
And he was killed almost 10 years ago.
True.
By Darth Maul.
And what are the intentions here? Why would he keep being a good guy then in the course episode 1?
Because he's trained the boy.
Obi-Wan?
He's telling Obi-Wan to train the boy because Palpatine was...
I see.
Whatever. But I just don't understand the Saifa Diaz thing. I just don't understand it. So anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's cut away to Naboo.
Romance.
And here comes magic moments.
No. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what to say about this.
So Padme's up and she's walking in the terrace of that. It's clearly Italy. Well, that's Naboo. And she's like, we used to go here through
Venice.
high school retreat. I love the water. You know, we used to sit in the beach and
look at the birds.
And guess the birds, right? Yeah, we used to lie down on the sand and let the sun dry us. And try to guess the names of the birds singing. And it's like, wouldn't you call them like, you know, the croakies?
There are plodgews.
The Cooperfish.
Yes. You know, with these
the Sando aqua monsters.
I would like to give credit
the OPC killers.
The dialogue, you know, I get what it's trying to do.
Me too.
And it's just difficult because
then Anakin just goes, I don't like sand.
It's coarse and rough.
It's coarse and rough and irritating. It gets everywhere. And then comes because it's just, I don't know what to say.
Me either.
He's like, it's not like here, everything is soft.
And it strokes her back and it's like...
And then strokes her face. No, not face. And then it just goes up to her back and she's just standing there. You can see her face and it's like, what is... Kill me now. And then she looks into his eyes and then the music starts. Dun,
the music has to help. So the music is here like...
And he gives a creepy smile.
Yeah, that's the thing. The whole thing is so difficult to read.
And that's a still frame. Did you see that?
No. But I know there's a still frame at the beginning of the film we talked about.
Yeah.
But I just see this whole thing is...
And then he goes... Dun, 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 dun. It just stops. And it made me laugh.
Really?
Was it supposed to be funny? That's the question, Jacob.
I don't know, man. No,
so she's like, I shouldn't have done this. We shouldn't have gone here. Whatever, right?
Yeah, like I shouldn't have kissed you.
And then we go back to the clones.
Right.
And then, Lama Su is like, check this out, man. They're better than droids. So when I said that, I thought...
every order.
They think creatively.
Their growth accelerated.
Yep.
They think creatively. They're the perfect soldiers.
And they also genetically modified them to grow up in 5 years.
Mm-hmm. So, is it 5 years? I thought it was like, she said half the time.
Oh, then 10 years.
Yes, 10 years.
So, and they have been, they're created to be sort of bio machines, bio droids.
Correct.
Because they don't have free thought.
Yeah, so this is what I'm wondering. With this droid army, well, I can't get into it now because... No, I can't get into it. I'll get into it later. But go on. So then
he's like this more superior to droids.
And Obi-Wan's like, very impressive.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, who was the carrier? Who was the source that you took the thing from? And then this is where we hear
a bounty hunter called Jango Fett.
Oh.
Interesting.
And he's like, where is he now?
We keep him here.
He likes to hang out here.
But he was a bounty hunter. And that's where Obi-Wan's like, oh, bounty hunter.
He's like,
can I meet him? Yes. And then they go and he sees, and then they go into the bigger hall where he sees the troops with the helmets and their uniforms, and then we have this musical cue, which I just want to bring to light because it was It's the Federation music. Dun 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 dun. So what I thought about that was maybe it was John Williams or maybe it was even George Lucas who said put that in because that sort of signals a sort of
kind of
like giving Obi-Wan the memory of, oh, I remember the Federation army, so are we going to turn into this too?
That's a good point.
I don't know if that's true or not because
I think that's a pretty good call.
But it's just like it's so disjointed. So
even
anyway,
if it's not true,
now we come to more awkwardness in
yeah.
The hills are alive.
Oh, more politics talk.
The hills are alive with the politics.
Like the Constitution of the United States of the Republic.
Yeah, and she's talking about how she had a crush on this dude. And it's like, I get the picture. Okay, I get the picture. She's like, she's
like,
remember that?
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, I get the picture. Like, and then what Anakin says is like, whatever happened to him?
That's the classic.
That's the classic, horribly like delivered.
Whatever happened.
Yeah, and
yeah,
and that's another one of those fifth grade sort of like directing. Like
I have to say a line here that reacts to you.
Whatever happened to
the next line?
And it's like it's supposed to be whatever happened. Like you don't know. Like the idea was that you're not supposed to care about Ronaldo or whoever she was talking about.
Ronaldo, beautiful hair.
And then they're talking about the system, and then he gets hints of Anakin.
Yes.
He's like, well, I think the system should be about control
and one leader making up
and she's
all
like,
the good
no.
decisions.
And then it cuts to, and she's like, you're making fun of me. He's like, I'm not much too frightened to tease the senator. And then comes the hills are alive with a sound of tick pigs.
Tick bugs.
No, the tick cows.
The tick cows.
And he's riding one, and it's like, da, 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 da,
the music is doing the heavy lifting.
Music's doing heavy lifting, and then because that tick bug, cat bug. No, it's the tick pigs.
Runs him over.
The tick cows runs him over, and it's just like those things are a little too stupid. Like in this, how are we gonna have a romantic moment with those ugly, big-butted? Creatures.
It's true.
So then he pretends to get hit, like to get run over by one of those things, and then she's like, "Oh no, are you okay?" And he's like,
"I'm okay."
And when I watched that for the first time, because his face was so contorted into a laughter, because I wasn't used to it, I thought he was like wounded or something. Like his face was like, I don't know. But then they do a little awkward roll, which doesn't have any momentum because they're forcing each other to roll, and it was weird. And so it cuts to Camino again.
Okay, so now we're gonna meet Jango Fett. Yeah, we're gonna meet him for real.
And we have the alien, going through the hallway while they're at the door of Jango's, and he's like, "This whole place looks the same to me. I can't."
That was funny though.
And so we meet Boba, and we're like, "What?" Well, of course, his name's Jango Fett, so Boba Fett is in this movie, and I guess that's okay, but that's stupid.
You know what? It depends on your view on if you like things to be connected.
Because when we were watching episode 5, without prior knowledge, it feels like Boba was just a one-man mystery man, and that's it. He does a thing, he's done, he's cool at what he does.
I personally like when things don't have to always be connected.
Oh yeah, well,
because then it makes things more fun.
Well, George Lucas did a lot of that here.
But I'm saying that if
it's
you
like poetry
things
rhymes
to be connected, then okay, but I don't personally think it's
great.
Right. But anyway, the fact is, here he is. Boba Fett is a kid, and he's the son of Jango Fett, who got a clone of himself.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, hello there. And he's like, have you ever got hired by Cypher Diaz? And he's like, no, I don't know anything.
He goes, never heard of him.
And he's like, I've been contacted by a bloke called Tyrannus. Sounds like an evil name.
Basically, the conversation.
He's like, made it to Coruscant? No.
But twice. The key is that Django is realizing, this guy's trouble.
Mm-hmm. And so he's like, let's get out of here.
Close the door.
And just mention that Boba Fett was is actually his clone. Oh, he did? Okay. But a direct clone. So clone. I don't know how that bears any. It's interesting, but
I don't think it's necessarily anything key.
Okay. Yes, more romance happens.
So this time we're the really soft pairs.
And he's talking about some stories about how he's messing around with Obi-Wan and the dinner table with Padme. And this is just, I don't know where this movie is going, Jacob. These were just clips that I'm watching intercut without any rhyme or reason. There's no connecting thread that I should understand about because there's like, I don't know.
Well, if I'm going to give it credit, I would say that all these things you don't know what's happening, but they're going to result into something like, wow.
Okay.
Speaking, just watching it, is
all right.
that, I agree that it's trying to do the romance thing because it's probably trying to tell you, like, oh, something's bad going to happen about this romance. It's not supposed to happen, kind of a thing.
I know.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, and then Obi-Wan's mystery is supposed to, I have no idea where that's going. No clue. And that's pretty much it. So it's true. It's confusing and
because like the idea is, what's the end result for his mystery? Who could have done this, right? But what does it matter if the army is there?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what bearing the army has because it's not that interesting to be invested in it.
So Anakin's talking about something, and he has some fruit, a big pear.
Oh yeah,
on his dinner plate, and he cuts that CG pear. Oh yeah, this was bad. Any time like I watch this movie.
Yep.
Cinema, home, DVD.
Floats
now
the pear over to Padme.
Oh yeah, and she just
Padme
eats
just pricks that pear with her fork, and that's the softest pear in the universe.
Yeah,
she just bites into it like pudding.
Oh yes, and it's amazing. And we would urge you to look at that.
Look at that clip. It's probably on YouTube. Like pear scene.
Yeah. And then then things get serious, and then she's like. And then comes this really, like, what can I say? It's like it's an awkward sort of scene
thing.
Where he's like,
it was quite difficult to watch personally.
Yeah. He's
because
like,
you can tell what it's trying to do, but the acting and
you're
it's just
tormenting me.
Yeah, it really did feel like it felt like this attempt at poetry.
Yeah,
it didn't,
but it rhymes. It's like poetry.
I know.
And so the one thing is that he's like, if you are suffering as much as I am, please help me. And she's like, I can't.
Anakin,
I'm sad. It's not possible to love each other.
He's like,
so you do feel it.
And she's like,
so you do feel it.
You feel the love.
Look, I wish I could just wish away my feelings.
No, Philip, that's not correct. I wish I. Yeah, you're right. That is correct. I wish I could. Wish
and his face looks just, I don't know. And then her dress is just
in the
George
fireplace.
Lucas, Taylor designed Jude Lucas dress. Yeah.
I wonder. Yeah, just the whole thing is weird, and the fireplace, and it's supposed to be serious.
And then, so what? The basic thing,
and it is serious, but it's just awkward.
Wish away my feelings,
and it's awkward in the dialogue, and it was uncomfortable.
And she's like, "Let's keep it a secret." Can we do that?
She didn't say that.
Oh no,
she's like, no,
she won't.
I can't live a lie. Can you?
Yeah.
No.
But okay, so then we go back to Obi-Wan. He's finished. He's done.
No.
He's finished. He's like, goodbye, Master Jedi. I'll report this to the council.
Sweet deal. Thanks for the bargain.
Yeah, and he goes out to his spaceship, and he's reporting. He goes like this: "R4, transfer this to the old folks' home." I like that, but it just feels like it didn't. It wasn't. It's not in his character in this movie to, have like a.
Especially that moment.
Yeah, and so they go, and and Mace Windu and Yoda get a transmission to Obi-Wan in their closet.
Yep, it's the old Jedi closet.
So he's talking about how, did the council ever authorize the creation of a clone army? He's like, no. And the council,
they're like, we never got a form signed.
No one knows about this. And then the funniest thing happens.
Oh, this is awesome.
Obi-Wan.
Mace
I keep saying
Windu.
Yoda.
Oh.
Blind we are, if creation of this clone army we couldn't see.
No, that wasn't the best part. The best part comes after that.
Oh,
where Mace Windu.
Well, they are blind.
Admits and says, I think it's time we inform the Senate that our ability to use the Force has diminished. So they're willing to go to the Senate
and declare.
Can you imagine that? Welcome, everyone. Today is September 3rd. We would like to declare to you today.
And then Yoda says something interesting.
Our ability to use the Force has unfortunately diminished. That is all. We'll be seeing you around.
All right, is everyone going to the to Life Day potluck?
It's going to be in the Jedi Council conference room number 105.
And Yoda says something interesting right here.
What does he say?
Only the Dark Lord of the Sith knows of our weakness.
Never remembered that line.
What do you think about that?
That should have been a little bit in the forefront. Because that's part of the mystery.
I don't get it.
The
Explain.
Dark Lord of the Sith is clouding their minds.
Okay, so it's real then, the clouding.
Yeah, the clouding. Star Wars, the clouding.
The clouding is real, and only the Dark Lord of the Sith knows of their weakness.
So why wasn't this integrated into the movie?
It wasn't, because I always... It's difficult to sometimes tell what they're trying to say.
It is difficult.
Because Yoda is talking about the dark side clouds everything, right? I took it two ways. One, it could be a metaphor. Maybe he's just saying evil exists. That's what I thought he was saying the entire time.
Yeah.
So now when we're getting here, we're saying, okay, well, like you're saying, it's a real thing apparently.
Yeah.
So true. Why didn't they explain this?
And so Anakin gets a nightmare, and he wakes up in the morning. Nice shot in the morning and stuff, and then Padme is like, dude, what's happening? And he's like, I've visions of my mother, because we're supposed to remember you can see things before they happen.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, see?
But he says, your presence is soothing.
I have to, your presence is soothing. And he's like, I have to go to find my mother because I can't take this anymore. Apparently, didn't really feel it because of these clips. And so he's like, I think I'm going to have to go and find her. Is that what happens?
Yeah, but she says, I'll go with you. I'm sorry. I have to go.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm going with you.
I'm sorry.
And then we cut to Boba and Jango going into their Slave One ship.
Is it truly Slave One, or is it Slave 01?
Oh.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, they go into Slave One, and Obi-Wan
catches them.
Comes out. Listen to this, right? Oh, he gets shot at. Oh, this is the battle.
Yeah.
This is the battle. He gets shot at, and the whole battle ensues with Boba, of Jango, and Obi-Wan.
Yep.
Which, it's not a bad
I like it.
It's
my favorite.
Battle.
It's my favorite one. I love the rain. I love the colors.
Yeah, I agree.
When you're watching this on Blu-ray, you see some of the blue screen trickery and some of the CG doubles. But,
that's true.
But the area is just really nice. And, Jango, everybody who likes Boba Fett can see Jango doing stuff.
Design-wise and kind of atmosphere-wise, I think they did a good job. And this scene tends to work
quite a bit. I think that the one thing that George did pretty well was do these action scenes.
Yeah.
And what I liked about his action scene delivery is that he doesn't go into crazy hyper camera mode.
Unlike some film directors who are making new Star Wars films.
It's a classic sort of cut away, cut here, blah, 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 blah. So I'm just going to say, not too bad. But then Obi-Wan gets, just kind of falls down, try to get himself back up. Jango thinks he has the upper hand, and so he's like, oh, we got rid of him. And
he swings
but
the
what
rope
happens
and gets
is
upstairs. Now listen to
Obi-Wan...
this.
What?
Obi-Wan gets up.
Jango has finished thinking he threw Obi-Wan off the cliff.
Yep. He's about to leave. Obi-Wan gets through the door, turns on his lightsaber.
For some reason.
Even though Slave One is leaving currently.
Yeah, and did you see that Jango actually hit his head on
throws the tracking device onto Slave One.
Yeah.
It opens up, and then he sips back his lightsaber.
Yeah. But did you see that when Jango went into the Slave One ship, the door was closing onto him, and he banged his head?
Did he?
Because the clones. So.
You think so?
Yeah, I think that was it. It's like poetry rhymes. Anyway, guess where we're back in? Tatooine. Yeah, so this really feels, so far it's just felt like montage. Just
a lot of stuff we have to go through.
And it feels like there's no thread connecting it together.
Yeah.
So they go and dock into one of the Tatooine places. And what I have to admire about George Lucas's direction here is he doesn't keep Tatooine a sacred area. I would have preferred if they did that in episode 1. Where it's like, oh, Tatooine, here we are again. Because it's been 15 years since the last Star Wars film. And so Tatooine is this place we know about, we love, right? The fans. But in episode 2, it's like, just, business as usual at Tatooine. And there's no sort of uplifting of the, the reverence of the place.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Now, I'm going to be curious if that might happen in episode 7. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think
anyway, he immediately finds
Watto.
Who are you? Yeah, and we go back
and
to
what
Watto.
I have to say is this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, even when I was younger, because I would never expected Watto to show up again.
That's true.
And him going back and meeting sort of his past life and seeing, and it's just so cool seeing, this guy, he's now a young man.
Yeah.
And he's a Jedi Knight. He's been doing all kinds of stuff. And there's Watto, still sort of the same.
It's coming back to very much the same.
Yeah. And then the knowledge that he's above this.
Yeah.
And this has nothing to do with the story.
No, I know.
Nothing to do with the script. But then Watto's like, well, it didn't do it. And he's like, Annie, little Annie. And he sees and he's like, it is you, Annie. And I thought that was just, really interesting to see.
I agree. I mean,
he's like, a Jedi, what do you know? And I thought that was quite. I'm genuinely saying that because I thought
it's true, but it is kind of true. Like how when you go to places you've been to before when you were younger, it's similar. I think.
Yeah.
To that.
So that was, I think, not a bad idea. And then he's like, maybe you could help me with some deadbeats. They owe me a lot of money.
It's funny because like that's so
Yep.
It's totally beyond that.
But it's so funny because that's what someone would actually talk about. So he's like, Shmi, right? My mother, where is she? And he's like, I sold her to Lars.
I think it was Lars.
I like that too because everybody knows Lars because we know Lars from the old films. And he's like, I think it was Lars. And he's like, all the way at the end of Mos Eisley, not Mos Espa, which we were in here. And then he's like, he married her and freed her, right? Mm-hmm. Can you beat that? And I didn't even have to donate my testicles. Remember that one?
Yeah, inside.
Yeah, a little inside joke there. He's like, where is she? Okay, let's find her.
Look at the archives.
And we cut back to Obi-Wan. Oh my goodness.
What?
It's just a lot of cutaways.
Yeah.
So he follows.
Oh, are we going back now to the most boring planet in the universe?
Well, if that's what you're thinking is.
I'm thinking of that.
Yeah, well, he follows.
I think it is.
He follows
Geonooosis.
Jango and Boba.
Oh,
they escaped because they escaped from Camino.
Yes.
Into Geonooosis. Well, the edge of Geonooosis around the space. And here's another pretty good action scene, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty good. The best part is coming up right now. The awesome sound effects of those bombs.
Yeah.
Those are killer. One of the best sound effects ever, I think. And the cinema is great when watching that. I love that sound.
Yeah, the silence, and that is perfect. And I think more sound designers should probably
take some cues from that. That's really good.
So there's this whole asteroid chase, kind of like Empire Strikes Back, just without the energy. But it still had. I think it was still fairly good. I think George Lucas isn't bad when it comes to orchestrating action scenes.
It's got some flavor.
So, they try a bunch of maneuvers, and just like Empire Strikes Back, because it's poetry, it rhymes, Obi-Wan hides behind an asteroid.
Jettison's the
big potato. And Boba and Jango think they got him, and they fly down. They think they're safe. They go down into Geonooosis at night, and then we see a bunch of Trade Federation balls parked.
From the first one.
Yeah. So I was like, ooh, it's conspiracy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Star conspiracies.
They're doing some star conspiracies.
And Obi-Wan goes to investigate Geonooosis because this is how far our killer mystery went.
Oh yeah, we're still on that.
Yeah. And so he looks down and sees Geonooosis, the planet of termites. Termite planet.
Really?
I don't know. They look like termites, don't they? With the mounds and stuff. And then we cut back to Anakin and Padme. Padme looking like death for some reason with her hood. And then we see the Lars farm. And I thought these nice big wide shots of the desert is great. We see C-3PO again. He has some plates on now. And then we see the droid from the deleted Star Wars scene for a long time now. Remember?
No.
With the it looks like kind of like WALL-E. Never mind. So,
sorry.
Anakin's here. He's trying to find his mother.
He meets 3PO.
But this sort of happened like out of nowhere again, because like episode 2 is like it's disjointed. That's why there's two lines. There's no connection.
No connection.
And he meets right now really like this actor is quite has been a bunch of new things. This Australian actor who plays young Ben Lars.
Yeah, that's right.
And again, please, someone kind of let me go and start. We can direct that Star Wars Chronicles, or what was it, Star Wars Legends or whatever movie, their spin-off with Obi-Wan. We can have this guy now, because young Lars, because now he's quite older. The actor. So, we can have this great sort of like, you cannot touch this boy,
Obi-Wan, Luke is under my custody.
Oh, right.
And Obi-Wan's like, fine.
That's true. You could have those scenes.
There, we have that. We can have that in the movie. And he would probably...
And the rest of the film is Obi-Wan going to the bar.
Telling stories.
Telling stories.
Yeah. So anyway, he meets the Lars family. I don't know, what did you think about this? Because we're coming back to Mos Eisley.
I think it's a cool idea because it's kind of...
The moisture
farms. Kind of in between the later films, and we kind of get to see a bit of what it was like before. So I don't think it's a bad idea.
And if the plot was a little bit better, like if the script was, formed better, Anakin's drive to find his mother would have been more ingrained into the viewers' minds. So when we come, then it would have worked with Anakin going, I need to find my mother. Because we care about this place because of nostalgia and Star Wars, and we remember how cool that was, or how cool it's going to be because this is episode 2. But
the whole thing, it lacks some sense of energy. He's here going, I need to find my mother, and there's like casually talking.
Yeah,
I have to go find her. He's like, she's dead.
She was dead, and then he finds out that she.
But I wish there was some more. There could have been some key. Maybe Anakin has he does have that dream, but I wish it was something more concrete that makes him realize, I have to go.
Yes, that's right. There's a lot of
then we would have this scene where he rushes here.
Yeah, and what I like,
physically actually getting
there. But what I like about Lucas is what I like about Lucas's eye in handling these scenes is he's not dwelling on the reverence,
the locations, right?
Yeah, that is he has the same wide shot at like sort of terrace, sort of porchy area where they're all drinking the blue milk, but now they're drinking red. What?
He's not drawing attention to it.
He's not drawing attention to the fact that, look, we're back here. It's just like that. And if this was a good movie, we could have had the prequels would have had someone had a different outlook on episodes 4, 5, and 6. So. Yeah, and so there's Grand Lars here, right? I don't remember his name. Grandpa Lars, I don't know.
Wasn't he like Owen?
Shmi's my wife.
No, Owen is Luke's brother.
Yeah, Owen.
No, Luke's
Uncle
Owen. Sorry,
Uncle Owen.
Yeah.
And he's like, your mother's dead, son. He's like, those Tuskens, they look like humans, but they're monsters.
They shoot warthogs.
They shoot warthogs in Halo. And
Tuskens.
Pod racers. And so Anakin's like, man, what should I do, And Padme shows up, and then they talk about something. And then there's the Force sort of shadow where you see his face, and it looks kind of like the Darth Vader helmet. And then he's like, I have to find my mother. And then he zips out with his bike.
And then cue the theories are coming in. Tell us about the theories.
What is that music doing in there? Because this was when I was in the theater and watching this, and Lyndon. Did we ever mention his name?
I don't think we mentioned his name, but whatever.
And Wally Andrews' stepdad said that Darth Maul was cloned in this movie, and I was just always hoping for Darth Maul to make an appearance. And I heard this music, because it's Duel of the Fates, so I don't know what it's doing in this. Has it anything to do with fate? I don't know. So he's searching for his mother, and so there's this montage of him looking. Some great shots, like for example, the one with the Jawas at dusk.
That's a good shot.
I love this. Is one of my favorite Star Wars shots. Just Star Wars, all of them.
Give everyone the time.
Huh?
If you want to look at it, you can.
Oh yeah, in the movie.
Yeah,
I'll give you the time. It's like at around 1 hour 15.
There you go.
And he's talking to some Jawas, and I just, what is that doing? And I thought when I was a kid, I was looking at some of the rocks that Anakin was speeding past in the deserts of Tatooine at night and dusk. Maybe there's Darth Maul stalking him or something. Well, I don't know. I was thinking this.
I know,
but the only reason I was thinking this is because I thought that Darth Maul is resurrected.
Make an appearance.
And you know what? This movie's so disjointed, might as well. I would have loved it.
Could have happened, but I never thought.
And then we cut
stuff.
back to Geonooosis, where he goes into this termite cathedral, Obi-Wan, to investigate why all these Federation starships from the Trade Federation, the Separatists, are conspiring in Geonooosis. That's their hidden base. And so he's going, he's going dun 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 dun. And then he's just scoping it out, and he sees the conspirators, all the bad guys, right?
Yep. They're all there.
The Commerce Guild, the Corporate Alliance, and the Techno Union. The Techno Union. And then we see Count Dracula. We see Christopher Lee, who looks a lot like Frank Langella in this movie, I have to say. Could have been Frank Langella, but Christopher Lee has
the history and heritage
Frank Langella?
Of classical acting.
Frank Langella is an actor. Mm-hmm. He played... the only thing I can say is he was the voice of Archer in Small Soldiers, but that's like one of the least things that he did. Mm-hmm. He was Daug in Treasure Island. No, Cutthroat Island. The bad guy. Main bad guy. The main bad guy in Cutthroat Island.
Okay.
And that's another one of the least things. And he was also the main the in Superman Returns. He was the newspaper boss.
Sorry,
but he was in so many other. He's a good actor, and he could have easily been Count Dooku. Would have been perfect because he kind of does look like Christopher Lee, and Christopher Lee does look like him in that. But Christopher Lee works because poetry, it rhymes. Tarkin. Yeah. So, Hammer horror. And so they're in the lair of evil, and they're
Christopher
talking.
Lee does a good job, by the way.
Oh yeah. He is, again, like Ian McGregor. He sees beyond George Lucas's, directing, and really attempts to get some kind of character going. And then there's a bunch of weird scenes, like the banking clan and the Trade Federation. The Viceroy's there, and we see him, and he's still hanging out. And he's a bitter man now because he's been foiled by Queen Amidala, and he hates her. And so Count Dooku, we meet Count Dooku now. And he's like,
I assure you, all of you will all be able to
perish. No, I'm just kidding.
We are making this declaration of separation, right? And I am apparently supposed to be leader of this place, isn't he?
Apparently.
And I think, for me, it just feels like, because we never met him in this movie, and this is the first time, he's wearing black and brown. He looks like Dracula because of the cape and stuff. How are we supposed to believe that he's a bad guy. It would be nice to have had something where he was like at the beginning of the film. He's like, I'm for the, like, if he was supposed to be part of the Separatists.
Maybe we're supposed to be as peaceful separation.
Maybe he could have been in the old
council.
Not council. Flying ships, voting place. Remember?
Yeah,
he could have had a speech.
Yeah,
wearing something different.
Yeah,
and he could have been like,
old friends, I was a Jedi once, but
my 6-point speech on why we should separate, and everyone's
we should separate, yes.
Something like that.
So then we cut back to Anakin, who's at the camp for the Tuscans, and there's a lot of shots there that look like fan film. There are many shots, not many, but there's a few that are fan film quality.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate but true. But it took the hit for future digital,
no doubt there.
Accomplishments. So Anakin sneaks into the camp, and he's trying to find his mother because he senses that his mother is there.
Yes, and she's in pain. And
I will say that he goes into one of the huts.
Yes,
the huts of gangsters. And he finds his mother like tied up because they're torturing her because they're
Tuscans.
They're Tuscans. They're racists or something.
I think so.
And I have to say, this is, again, just like you said, probably one of the best direct handled scenes in episode 1 was him talking to his mother.
Yeah,
before he leaves.
Yes,
I think this is another. This one is the one that worked. Can't believe it. I have to say, in all honesty, Hayden Christensen did a good job here.
Yeah,
you could see the tear, and I felt the tear. Yeah,
and the lady
and Pernilla
Shmi,
August.
Yeah,
who does Shmi or Shmai?
Very well handled.
And it's just like, this is from a better movie.
Yeah.
So it was very good, and she was like, it worked. It was
remember when I watched
both hammy, but it was working.
I don't think it was hammy.
Because that's kind of like a cliche, it is. Can't finish it, but it worked.
No,
and
but
the
for
music
me, I remember when I watched it in the cinema, it got me. Like it felt really bad, and I felt it really was a sad scene. I remember watching it. Still when I see it,
it's good. It's good. And then she dies. Ooh, in her and then there's this cue that I really liked that goes and it just sort of builds up what Anakin has inside himself, or exactly what Anakin has in himself, which is this anger, fear, anger,
anger,
and that I guess that worked too.
Yeah, I mean,
but it just how long? It's like halfway through the film, and this is the only time he's there. Well, I know we got the one where it's like, tell us now, but that's like,
it's not built up again.
So
he murders.
Yeah, and then we get into a nice little cameo here of Qui-Gon's voice going where Obi-Wan's in the closet and he's...
No, Yoda's in the closet.
I keep calling Yoda Obi-Wan.
Yoda, okay.
Obi-Wan. And he's in the closet meditating. And then he hears, Anakin! A little Liam Neeson voice there. And then there's this weird... No!
Yeah, what was that?
I said that was Saifa Diaz.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Little cameo by Saifa Diaz.
Because he's so important. We had a nice little...
And Yoda senses Anakin's pain. Oh! Pain! Yeah. And what's his name? Mace Windu, Jedi Bender, decides to hang out with him in the closet.
He says, what's going on?
Those burritos. And Obi-Wan decides to mention what he found. He found Dooku conspirating with the bad guys who are... And he also saw the droids being built.
Army.
Oh, there's more droids being built. So he goes and...
So now we got the clone army.
He calls the old folks home.
To match the clone army.
Yeah, and he tries to talk to, I think, Obi-Wan. I'm calling everybody Obi-Wan. Anakin.
Obi-Wan tries to call Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan comes into the room, and then Obi-Wan is falling in love with Padme.
Hello there. and then one of the termite men sees that he's calling the Anakin or...
Well, Obi-Wan is transmitting a message to Anakin first because his signal doesn't reach.
Yeah,
he told R5, boost the signal.
Yeah.
Boost it. And R5 is like, I can't boost signals. And Obi-Wan's like, boost.
So they use the broccoli steamer satellite.
Yeah, the broccoli steamer.
And
awesome.
And then
oh, there's a little womp rats.
And then like before he sends the message, it transitions to the womp rats.
We're almost done with the movie.
Yeah. And there they are. R2 gets the message in the ship, in Padme's ship, which landed, in the Dune Sea. Not the Dune Sea, it's not the Dune Sea, it's the flats, whatever. And he transmits it to hologram, and then he's talking about how this is for Coruscant and the Trade Federation, among all kinds of other private guilds, are creating a separatist army, and Count Dooku's apparently leading them, but Christopher Lee is trying all he can to look like he's not evil. So he's like, yes,
Yeah.
But this is cut short by Anakin coming back and bringing the body of his dead mother. Yeah. And it's another pretty good moment. I don't know what it is, but it is.
Yeah.
And he comes in, and they're all like, "Whoa!" And the music's helping, and the shots are pretty good. And there we go. Look, it's just this.
Yeah, I mean, again, this scene does tell what it wants to tell, and it does it well.
And then it cuts away to the garage, I would say.
This is the same garage.
Yes, where Luke was, except it just doesn't look.
It doesn't look the same, I thought.
And Padme has some native clothes on, I guess, and she's always being dolled up everywhere she goes.
Every single scene.
Even though she's supposed to be, hiding, but just got to be wearing awesome things all the time.
It's fun. And so Anakin is fixing things because life seems easier
when you're fixing things. Great line there. And she brings the blue milk, which is, and some lunch, and then
the flagship drink of Tatooine.
The big thing where he's just
the big reveal.
She's like, I forget what she said.
Well, she's talking about how he said he could have saved his mother. Why didn't he?
Yeah, I should have. Her?
And she goes, you can't change some things. He goes, well, I should be. I should be the most powerful. I'm going to be the most powerful Jedi.
Yeah, and then what happens? What leads up to the big one?
I think he's just talking about he wants to be the most powerful. He wants people to stop people from dying.
Oh, yeah, you're not all powerful. Yeah, I'll be the greatest Jedi. And then she's...
And then Anakin tells her that he killed everyone.
He killed all the Tuskens.
And not just the men.
And that was a pretty good part with Hayden trying to get it working. And it worked. Yeah. And it was like, whoa.
Yeah, because you're getting scared. Like, what?
The children. And the weirdest thing happens. Padme goes, here, I'll I'll give you a hug. And then she's like, we all make mistakes, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very...
To be angry is to be human.
It's just a very...
to murder an entire village is to be human.
It's like that moment, that moment, what he said should have had a much greater consequences.
Slaughter them like animals.
And, Padme should have been shocked. And
Padme should have looked and then made a 180.
Yeah.
And I was going to say 360.
Like it should have been
360.
It should have been completely
180, you spaghetti slurping idiot. 180. Otherwise, I'd be going, making a full circle and stop right where I started. Well, he didn't shoot yet. He was like,
oh no.
What? Trust me.
There should have been much more weight to this, and it should have been something really serious because
and that's what I said. She should have done a 180.
Yeah.
And walked the other way.
Yeah. And then that would have been like, whoa. Yeah. This is something really serious. And instead it's more like, whatever.
Whatevs. Let me stroke your face.
Yeah. I like stroking your face. I don't like your hair.
Past this.
And then they get the signal.
And we're back to Tatooine.
Oh, no. Then comes the funeral for...
Again, that was the same. It worked, I thought.
I thought it worked, too. I thought it was really good. And even Hayden was like, I tried to help you, and I couldn't. It worked. It just worked. I feel bad for the Lars family. They're the most unlucky family in the world.
They are, man.
Once those Skywalkers come in, everything's gone.
Shmi dies.
Yep. He gets a wife. Loving wife. The best, partner you could ever have. And she gets kidnapped. And then she dies. And then this guy comes in. And he's like, I'm trying to find my mother. And he finds the mother, even more grief because they bring her back down here. And then there's more of this emotional sadness. And then this guy and his girlfriend, well, I don't know, Amidala,
who knows,
sitting around. And then what happens later on is that they get a child.
Yeah.
They get his child.
They got to adopt the child from this guy.
And then they get blown up.
And Luke leaves.
Well, yeah.
Well, they didn't know that though, but like, Luke, you shouldn't leave. And then they get blown up by the Empire.
Lars family.
Poor Skywalker family, man. It really sucks for them.
So anyway, he gets the message, and he's like, "Oh no, I think they have an army."
Anakin does a complete turn here, and he says, "I have to follow orders."
Yeah, that was
up
stupid.
until this point. He hated all that.
Yeah,
and Padme's like, "Well, you're supposed to protect me, so you're gonna have to come along with me if you want to protect me. I'm gonna go save Obi-Wan."
Yep. And then they go, and then here comes the council. The council is looking at, like, the higher-ups in Coruscant are seeing the same message Obi-Wan is sending about the army in Geonooosis, right? And they're looking at that, and Mace Windu's there, and Jar Jar is there. And it's like, I feel like they, Palpy, and his assistant, Mr. Snakehead or whatever, with the horns and stuff.
Bloomin'?
Yeah, Bloomin'. They're like, we should invite Jar Jar. Yes, Jar Jar.
No, they didn't say that. They said something.
No, they invite him over.
Right,
come, look at this. And then they watch the video.
They take sudden interest in.
Yeah. Jar Jar,
Chancellor.
Would you
Jar Jar.
Yeah. Would you like some crumpets? Oh, moi, Mr. Lovin' crumpets.
Get Jar Jar the finest crumpets from Coruscant.
Yeah, Coruscant can muster.
He was said.
Oh. Very motherly.
The finest tea from Tatooine. Moisture farmed to perfection.
And so they watched this video with Yoda and all those guys about how Obi-Wan reported this, and he gets, and on camera, Obi-Wan gets sort of cornered by the battle droids and stuff.
Right.
And then he's like, we have to take action, right? And then both Palpatine and Bloomin' look at each other, and they're like obviously trying to get Jar Jar to look at them, and they're like, if only Senator Amidala were here. And Bloomin's like, yeah.
And they both look at Jar Jar.
And they both like sort of turn towards Jar Jar.
If only.
She would have made this the right decision. She would have made this, right? Yes.
She would have given emergency powers to the Chancellor. Yes. Oh man, that's so good. And then Jar Jar, obviously.
Yeah.
Later on.
So then Obi-Wan is captured in this cool looking magnetism.
That is a cool magnetism
chamber.
thing, I think.
And then Christopher Lee comes in. He's like, I'm sorry about this. I'm so sorry about all this.
Yeah, he's
and
giving the impression.
he's like, you're a traitor. And he's like,
I'm not a traitor.
I'm not a traitor.
They've gone too far.
Yeah, they should have done this.
They've gone too far.
But the funny thing is that he does a good job because you can tell.
Yeah, he's trying.
This guy is lying about everything. You know, like you can tell.
Oh, you're supposed to,
but it's good because like you can tell that this guy is completely terrible. Like Count Dooku, you know, he's
right. But I think the idea was
people.
supposed to be like, is he good? Maybe he's just here against his will.
I know, but I'm saying that it works in the sense that he's trying to fool everyone else, and maybe other people might believe it in the story. But when you're watching the movie, you can tell that he's clearly not.
Yeah, but I like how Christopher Lee tries to be the Count Dooku.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can understand his role in this, in the story. And he also, with that light coming from the bottom, it really looks like he looks like Frank Langella, and I just have to mention that. So I'm just thinking Frank Langella as Count Dooku isn't a bad idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so he's like, I was the master of Qui-Gon.
Mm-hmm. That's the big
Qui-Gon would never join you, and then this is how Count Dooku could be like,
but Qui-Gon's synonym, no, not synonym, pseudonym was Cypher Diaz. So he went under my orders to order, like Domino's Pizza, order the creation of the clone army. The creation of the clone army.
I don't believe you.
Obi-Wan doesn't believe
and he's like, I'm sorry. And again, like poetry, it rhymes. He goes, would you? And he tells him the truth. He tells him, would you believe me if Darth Sidious
he does tell him the truth.
Is controlling the Senate and the other side, whatever they are?
And then he's like, no, because we're dogmatic Jedi that don't know anything.
You were on the list of people not to be trusted.
And he's like,
yes, I assure you, Darth Sidious.
And then Obi-Wan says, and he says, just like Darth Vader tried in Episode 5, he's like,
join me. Together, we can destroy the Sith.
Also interesting that both Darth Vader and Count Dooku both didn't tell the truth. They both said, join me, we can destroy the Sith. But their ultimate goal was for the person to join the Sith.
Well, that's the thing. Like I thought that they were selfish, and they are planning to take down
really thought that?
And he will be the Emperor.
So you think Darth Vader would want to take over Palpatine?
Yeah, I thought so.
I always thought that Darth Vader was completely
that works
convinced that Palpatine is the best.
And so he's even lying to Luke just
of course, he's lying to Luke just so Luke will join him, and then like, ooh, there's 3 of us now.
Yeah.
Zap peeping out people.
But Palpatine wants to get Luke to...
Yeah, Palpatine's the ultimate evil. Like, he'll probably kill
We'll
Darth
talk
Vader.
about that in November. But Palpatine, I thought Palpatine was there to replace, to kick Vader out.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
him.
He would kill Vader just to get Luke, because Luke, stronger, faster.
Yeah. Stronger, faster. Okay, so that he tells him the truth, flat out truth.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan's like, I don't believe you. And he's like,
well, it would be a problem to try to secure release.
See, but that's what I thought. I thought we were still meant to believe he's just a politician, not to be trusted, but still not an evil man.
I don't know. I think you can kind of tell.
Okay. And then comes the deciding moment.
Jar Jar.
In the Senate, and he's like, hello, delegates. Someone, where is Zam? Can she assassinate him, please? Emergency powers to the chief chancellor. And guess what?
Hooray!
I like this Jar Jar guy.
He's great. I voted him from.
Queen Amidala's not here.
Second term.
Yeah.
Voting the second time. Oh yeah. I love his campaign.
And everybody
ads.
agrees.
So good.
Just like that. Thanks, Jar Jar. So we can go all the way to Episode 4. He's like, you fought with my father in the Clone War? Yes, Jar Jar. Jar Jar said yes.
They should make some awesome, videos, commercials like elect Jar Jar. We said that best.
Thanks. And I think I really think that he put Jar Jar in there, George, just as kind of revenge.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Goongas.
And everybody's
see where we are. So now he gives the power. So they're gonna
and Yoda,
they're going to officially sanction this clone army.
And then Mace Windu is like, it is done. And it's like, are you really taking Jar Jar serious? And also the thing about Palpatine is he's not a very active character in this movie, but you can really tell that I really think that because he got paler and older, I think that back then the decision was that he was going to be pale and old and get even older and paler in episode 3. So we have the transition, like, just because he's evil. He's full of evil.
Yeah.
And that's why he's getting so decrepit. And
the evil is destroying him.
But then changed it. And we'll talk about that next time. But I like the direction they were going here. It's a lot better.
I agree.
And Anakin and Leia, Padme, Anakin and Padme get off of their ship. They get to Geonooosis. They try to rescue Obi-Wan. This has absolutely zero force.
I think
if you
in
forgive
the movie,
my
we're
pun.
at the point where
this is supposed to be starting in the.
We don't have a clear sense of pacing, so
we haven't had a clear sense of pacing since this movie began.
Like whatever. It just like
that's what it felt like when I was watching.
It feels like now we're at
the
last leg of the movie. Just have something happen.
And at least look, R2 and C-3PO, even more human-like than the humans. Like, look at them; they're arguing, and I thought that was pretty good too.
Yeah.
I'm programmed to understand humans. It means I'm in charge here.
Where are you going?
Yeah. That's great, and then he's following him, and that's classic Star Wars.
That is classic
It's
Star
just too
Wars.
bad we didn't get to. Actually, we did, and then comes the big factory.
Yeah, CG.
It's
It's basically just a bunch of running around
yeah,
and avoiding and fighting bugs with lightsabers and lightsabers breaking and Padme falling into a tub.
and I went to the bathroom when I was a kid, and I never saw the part where R2 C-3PO gets dragged around. It's a nightmare. And just a big droid factory.
Yeah, and
action
R2
scene.
flies.
This one is not the best Clone Wars episode 2 moment.
No, because it's a little bit boring. And R2 flies.
Yeah, R2 flies, and it's like, I understand that the idea might have been that, oh look, R2 has a jetpack. See, what else does he have under his sleeve? But it's like, why didn't he use that in the original? Never mind. Yeah,
so we can kind of go through
and,
this.
and then there's this weird thing where C-3PO's body is, like his head is clumped off, and then, battle droid head.
His head gets mismatched with a battle droid.
Yeah, with a battle droid. It's like, oh no.
With a battle droid body.
I need maintenance.
And then Padme tries to get out of a lava tub.
Yeah, and there's a good fake out there, which I thought was fine. And then CG Boba comes. CG Jango is like,
And
don't move, Jedi.
Anakin breaks his lightsaber.
Oh yeah, Obi-Wan's gonna kill
me. I don't know. Like, see that, for instance, that line to me, it doesn't fit because
we never saw this sort of thing.
Well, not just that, but the problem is that if Anakin is developing, let's assume that he developed his character developed in the story, he should not really be thinking so much about kind of a Padawan-y thought, like, oh, Obi-Wan's going to kill me. He should be thinking about this, big problems in the universe. And so that line, I don't understand why that's stuff like that.
Yeah.
So anyway,
and then they get captured. And remember that deleted scene where they try to talk to Dooku and it's like,
oh yes,
yeah,
where they actually get captured and they get sent to Dooku, and she's trying to convince him or something.
Yeah, and he's like, sorry, bye
to the dungeon with you.
Yeah, and then comes the confession of love.
This is the confession of love
before
scene.
the arena, and I think the arena is a good idea. I liked it.
Yeah, sure.
Concept-wise, look-wise, and I think if this scene that we're talking about now...
I always remember the campaign photos and stuff. I remember there was always the arena, there was Camino, Geonooosis. I remember all those.
Yeah.
So this reminds me of that.
And they have a little confession. She's like, he's like, I'm not afraid to die.
He's... So you do love
and
me.
He's like, and then she says, like, I've been dying a little bit each day since you came back to my life. And it's like,
it's hard to.
And she's like, I truly, deeply love you. And then they kiss.
That line. He's like,
it just doesn't work,
man.
man.
Lie.
Yeah. And then they get dragged into the arena, and then the music's like, dun, 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 dun. Oh, I love that.
This is a good theme.
And they're going to be turned into Bug Squad. By the way, guys, that arena, the big amphitheater, the theater, amphitheater?
I don't think it's an amphitheater. It's just the
arena, the stadium.
Yeah.
It's all a miniature.
Oh, yeah.
Physical miniature. And
cool.
I'm just saying that because episode 7, old school, physical. Yeah.
This had physical stuff as well. So
he's like, we came to rescue you, Obi-Wan. He's like, good job. Obi-Wan's there, by the way. He's at the arena.
What do you think about this?
He's getting ready to get executed too.
What do you think about the nonchalantness of this? Think it's good or bad?
I think it's good.
I would say it's good, but I don't know if it works at this moment in the
That's
film.
right. Yeah, I agree with you.
But I like the nonchalantness works because like they're Jedi and they've been in these situations before, and it's okay because it's an adventure. If it's an adventure film, that kind of stuff is okay. But at the moment,
this is supposed to be
tension. It's supposed to be like, oh crap.
Yeah, and especially after their confession of love, which didn't work very well. Yeah. I mean, I understand.
The confession of love scene.
Then, the people who are watching this, who are the culprits behind this, who are watching on the royal chamber are the Termite King. I don't know his name. But again, great sound design. I love how they made that language.
It's good. It's good.
That's so cool. And Dooku's there, and I don't know if that was meant to be like, are you still trying to have any thoughts about them not being evil or something? Whatever. He's like, release the hounds. And they release the monsters who are coming to devour our 3 heroes.
Yeah.
Problem is, no, there's no problem. I love those 3 creatures. The big giant, the big rhino thing.
What's the best one? I like
this roar.
The rhino guy is cool.
The rhino guy, and then there's the whatever that thing is, the spider crab,
the crustacean
dinosaur,
nation.
The crustacean dinosaur, spider crab. I love it. The voice, the
Let's go.
The sound, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And it's cool. And then the other one, the big jaguar creature.
Yeah, the jaguar, the little wolf jaguar.
Yeah, the tiger thing.
Yeah, tiger thing.
And they all have their own character to kill, and they're forced to go by the bugmen. And there's these bugmen, the termite men, who want, the ones whenever they get killed, and they always get interrupted with their screams. I love that. I love it. It's comedy gold. And see, there's some positive elements.
They're the opposite of the orcs from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, the orcs in Lord of the Rings are. But we're talking about Lord of the Rings, the Bakshi cartoon. Yeah, and so there's this big fight. I thought it was fun to watch, and I liked seeing the frustrations of...
Frustration Nation.
The frustration nation of the Viceroy going, what? No! No! Yeah! Woo! Rip her head off.
Yeah.
And, and then, the Jedi...
Bendu.
The Jedi Bendu get ahead of things.
Oh, here we go.
And then,
now he kicks
in the shadows...
So they end up pretty much defeating a couple of those beasts. Mm-hmm. And suddenly, who is this?
Purple lightsaber.
It's me, guys.
The Jedi Bendu.
Windy.
The Jedi Bendu. And he's like, this party's over. And then
valiant, but
but then, like, the thing is, should Count Dooku be like, oh, I remember you? Didn't he say that, something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
And he's like, yeah, this party's over. He's like, you in what army? He's like, this army. No, he never said that. But
he said you are outmatched.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. Woo. Yeah, he gives a stupid. Really? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
And then all the Jedi show up because they were all,
And now we have an awesome. Well, not awesome, but I mean.
Oh, and then there's also a butchering of the score because. Unfortunately, in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, the score just gets cut up, and then they reuse cues from the old film, from the first film, instead of using original music that John Williams could compose. Don't know what that's all about, but
here we have a lot of lightsabers.
Yeah. A lot of lightsabers.
A lot of green and blue. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about that? What do you think of the green and blue?
I think it's good. About it, green and blue is good. If it was any color in the spectrum.
Because I used to also think that it should be everything.
But then it's just a rainbow,
but then it is a rainbow
light show. And this feels like there's some kind of order. Yeah. And I don't know about... This is Samuel Jackson.
I meant more like, what do you think about that many lightsabers on screen? That's what I meant to say. Like, what do you think?
Oh, it doesn't work. We talked about that. Yeah.
It works when it's smaller, when it's like maybe a team battle, like 4 or 5. But this is over Killmaster.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there's a lot of colors and they're very bright, and I don't know.
Yeah, and I feel like I know what they're trying to show.
Like Jedi, you've never seen this before.
Yeah,
a lot of Jedi.
This might be like how it is in the past, and I don't know. There's just too much. Just
it's a lot.
It's a light show, It's just a rave. And also, if you watch,
you get free lightsabers everywhere.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, if you watch this again, there's a lot of poorly composited Jedi in there.
In the background.
And there's also some amazing looking Jedi.
Dude, yeah.
Remember we saw like
the Jedi
there's some
really
cool guys
with dual blades.
Like if you watch this in HD, it's perfect. Like you see a bunch of cool like there are these the duos, the cool duo with the like
they were just
like,
waiting to
the bearded guy and the bald guy, and they're like together and they're like hanging out and they're friends, and they throw 2 extra lightsabers to Anakin and Obi-Wan. Yeah.
And you also have the guys in the background who are super casual.
Yeah, and there was the cool guy with the 2 blades. Remember that?
He's the cool guy.
I love the cool guy with the 2 blades.
You just look out. Look, if
and
you watch this,
there's
you
lots
should look
like
in the background.
There's action going on. There's lots of action. It's a little ridiculous. And then there's another shot of the just like the first person shot with Obi-Wan slicing those battle droids like butter. Anakin slices them like butter.
Butter slicer.
And it's like from the first person, which was goofy and fun.
Yeah.
And also this introduces the super battle droids from the Techno Union.
We had toys of these guys.
Yeah, because they were cool, and I think they're cool. And you know the super battle droids, the bigger, tougher versions, and they are intimidating. Like
because their laser guns are super powerful. Did you
and
hear
they're
that?
big. They're big, clunky, big guys.
You don't want to mess with
compared
them.
to the buttery.
Dude, the butter droids are slice and dice.
Roger. And these new ones, you know the new
Look,
ones.
This guy, remember this guy?
Yeah. And then there's the Finhead guy.
And the Finhead. Okay, let's. If you
He's
the beginning
in the
of the
Jedi.
council.
Yeah, he's at the council, I think, and
he's a new
also
guy. He wasn't in episode 1.
No.
He's kind of like a dinosaur face.
Yeah, blue
dude.
dinosaur face guy.
And he shows up at the council. He shows up later at the temple.
Yep.
And thirdly, which we only realized this time,
Mm-hmm.
he is the guy who jumps up in a valiant effort to kill Count Dooku.
Yeah.
But unfortunately,
he should have had
gets
his own
blasted
theme.
by Jango.
And he falls. And this is
Too
how they
bad,
train
man.
the Jedi.
Well, because they're too busy with lists.
I wish that was the theme of this
People
movie.
not to trust.
That would have been great.
Yeah, that would have worked.
And he dies. And, you know, we like Finhead, man.
Yeah.
And Count
Poor guy.
Dooku doesn't care at all.
He's like, oh my.
He should have been, that's how they train the Jedi these days.
Join the Sith.
And then, Mace Windu's just doing crazy things, crazy stunts.
Well, Mace Windu's about to kill...
he's about to kill Jango. And there's something weird about Jango is that he might... I don't know. He just feels like he's been placed here just to be for the fans. Just because everybody loved Boba Fett.
It seems like more or less that's the case.
Because he just gets killed and that's the end. We don't see any more of Jango or Boba. And
yeah.
And then that made me think of how we would see it in episode 5. It just feels like forced. And it takes away his mystery, so...
That's the thing, the mystery thing, yeah.
Yeah, and he just decapitates him like a... Yeah.
Pretty
Well,
brutal.
that's
Pretty
what
brutal.
happens. And
That's Jango.
Yep, and they get cornered.
All right, so here we go. Now comes the speech.
Mm-hmm.
Dooku... The Jedi are surrounded.
Yep.
There's only a few left after that kind of relatively large group. Jedi, and they're surrounded
by all the battle droids.
Yeah, by the battle droids. And Dooku...
In the arena. We were all this time in the arena, yeah.
And Dooku kind of makes
he's like,
ultimatum.
Yeah.
He's like, says, I didn't want this to happen. Join us.
A valiant effort. And he says, surrender and your lives will be spared.
Mm-hmm.
And Mace Windu goes,
we're not slaves to be bartered.
He goes, very well.
Very well.
And then
Padme, out of all the Jedi Knights who have this Force sense,
okay, well, yeah,
she's like, look up in the sky. Dun, 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 dun. And that's another cue from episode 1, but it doesn't matter. Yoda comes in with the fresh clone troopers.
So fresh.
And then
so
Yoda makes
thinking, right?
stupid,
So here's my question.
forced backwards talk.
My question
Around
here is
the
this, right?
perimeter.
The Jedi.
Survivors.
I'm surprised that the Jedi readily accept this clone army. Wouldn't there be a bit of a question about the ethical question of
There's
cloning?
no time.
Cloning.
Forget that. Star Wars.
But I'm serious. I know, but I'm still like the Jedi. Shouldn't they talk about it?
Yeah,
a little
life, right? What are you manipulating life
bit?
for?
Yes, exactly. I think there should have been some of that.
There's no time. There's no time.
Because this seems a little bit
is no time.
It seems a little bit not cool from the
There's
Jedi to
no
just be
time.
like, clone army, whatever.
No!
We'll use them.
No.
Well,
No!
I think it should have been there.
No time.
Cool.
No time.
Okay, fine. Let's keep going.
Dun. And then that brings us to the big climax of the movie.
Yeah.
Where we see the airships, we see the clone troopers coming in on Geonosis, and they attack. Hence the title, Attack of the Clones. And that's the end of Boba Fett and Jango Fett.
I don't know if you noticed this, but we're actually watching the movie on Ute.
Yeah, we're kind of watching.
We started watching like halfway through this.
Yeah, because it reminds us of what we want to talk about. This could have been a commentary.
It could have.
But then we would have to pause because we have to...
Right, we would have to pause to talk about
so
things.
let's just do this. The fight scene happens. This big battle happens.
Willem the fight
scene happens. And they start commanding. The Jedi start commanding and fighting these, these separatist droids.
And Anakin makes a good call, my Padawan. Remember, aim for the fuel cells.
Yeah, good call. That's another one of those.
Like, everyone's like, war is fun.
Yeah, war is fun.
He doesn't say that, but
and then there's the control ship, and they're controlling things in the control ship, and then basically what happens in the control room for the separatists underground.
You mean the Battlefront map
with and the bad blue screening. Count Dooku says, "We have a plan, and they shouldn't see it."
What plan?
The Death Star. Oh, yeah. And again, I thought the ultimate plan was again cloning Darth Maul. That was when I was 13.
Like the screen.
Darth Maul. Dun, 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 getting him back.
The baddest Sith.
But seriously, Dooku didn't have to be there. It didn't have to be this mystery because it didn't work. Mm-hmm. And it could have just been Darth Maul, and that would have had a wonderful emotional connection with Anakin and Obi-Wan.
You mean Darth Maul and Obi-Wan?
And Anakin, because Anakin knows Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon got killed by Darth Maul. He's like, this is the guy who killed Qui-Gon.
That could have worked.
And he could have been the separatist leader all the way until Episode 3, where he dies. Gets killed by Darth Vader. Would have been great.
Oh, you mean...
Like Anakin. Gets killed by Anakin in Episode 3.
Huh. Yeah, why didn't they do that?
Because... Who knows? Let's get this done. It's almost done.
We're almost done.
Okay, so the battle scenes, what do you think of the fights? Like the zooms and the shaky cams? I'm going to say restrained shaky cam, restrained way of showing the action, and I think it's a better direction than some filmmakers.
For me, I probably agree with that, but for me, I have to say I tend to be a little bit... It's less interesting to me when I know that a lot of the stuff is CG.
Yeah.
It brings the tension down to kind of... Stuff is happening. Stuff is blowing up. Mm-hmm. So here we go. Anakin's feelings are getting in the way of things.
And
Obi-Wan is telling him to stop.
Because Padme just fell off, and she's okay, but Anakin's...
Turns back.
And, and Yoda is a little bit of a stickler.
Here's the thing about Yoda, right? I like that Yoda actually interacted with people properly with, Luke.
Yeah.
And he was talking, and like, this is a person. Yoda is a person. Here, Yoda just likes to quote his riddles, and then also
he's a prophet of doom.
Prophet of doom. And he also tells people, just take me here, take me there. And it's like problems.
And he doesn't look satisfied with anything.
No. And he's like, dark side, shroud.
And Count Dooku escapes in the midst of the action with his speeder bike.
I said, why wasn't Yoda... Who did I say could have been a Muppet? Someone could have been a Muppet. That would have been awesome. That'd be awesome. Cameo Muppet. Maybe Yoda could have been a Muppet. That'd be great. Okay, so here we are. Count Dooku, they have to face Count Dooku and end the war.
Yeah.
The famous end the war.
Yeah, and then both Dooku and both Obi-Wan and Anakin get over there, corner Count Dooku in in an area that has his escape pod. And it's my favorite place, by the way. I really like that set. Place. I would love that in my basement. It's a beautiful area.
That next to the alien.
Yeah.
Ship.
So Count Dooku is cornered, and what happens? Anakin charges at him because Obi-Wan said we have to take it one by one. No! And then
now.
It could have been Darth Maul. And Count Dooku goes zapped by lightning, and we're like supposed to be thinking, oh, Count Dooku is evil. He knows Sith lightning.
Oh, really? You're still going with that?
Well, that's the idea, isn't it?
What are you talking about? Why would they go after Count Dooku? He might be a good guy. Let's go attack him.
Okay, fine. But then it's stupid. Then this whole thing is dumb. And it should have just been Darth Maul. And then Darth Maul could have done the Force lightning.
It would have made sense. But they didn't do it.
Whatever. But here's what I liked about Christopher Lee when I looked at him performing here. He was trying to be a little bit more maniacal. just grimacing some more. He's like, and it feels like that's the real Count Dooku we're seeing.
Right.
Because he was trying to be,
I'm trying to be sophisticated.
And here,
Master Obi-Wan. What's wrong?
Yeah.
And they do a little duel. They have a little duel, and of course that's everyone's favorite. Like we all love the Star Wars duels, even though this one doesn't have as much weight as the original films, but it's always fun to look at people.
Duels are pretty fun.
You know, with laser swords. And
before this is just Padme says to go to the hangar. We have to stop him, and then I think Anakin gets up now. Oh no, but yeah,
Anakin. They fight. They just fight.
They slice pipes, and it gets dark.
Yeah,
and they wave the swords,
and then Obi-Wan gets hit.
Yep,
and Anakin gets his arm sliced off.
Yeah, that was pretty. Kind of
his forearm.
That was surprising when you're watching.
Yeah, when you're watching it. Wow. Yeah. And it's like Darth Maul had a hard time fighting Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and here Count Dooku, old man, takes them both out.
So Darth Maul would have to do a lot of training.
Yeah,
if he wants to battle them.
And of course, do you want to mention Count Dooku's lightsaber?
What about it?
His little bendy lightsaber.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and our friend Andy, he loved Count Dooku. Count Dooku.
And the blade.
He bought the lightsaber blade.
Yeah, man. I remember we battled.
Yep. So there's a lot of fighting, and then his arm gets taken
comes
out,
up.
And then Yoda comes. No, the Shadow.
The
Shadow comes.
Oh.
And I thought this was my last resort. And everybody turns around in the movie. Everybody turns around and looks at the Shadow. Count Dooku looks at the Shadow coming towards him after he defeated both Obi-Wan and Anakin. And I thought the Shadow was Darth Maul. Dun, 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 dun. And I thought he's going to be like, oh, I'm back, you know?
No. You were dead. I'm back.
Yeah. But it's Yoda. And there he is.
So this is supposed to be like the duel of the
masters. And as a kid, when I was 13, watching this, and then Yoda's like, he has a little Force battle with Count Dooku.
Do you want to say something about this before, when you were 13?
Well, I just wanted to say that as a 13-year-old, here's what Count Dooku says. He's like, I've become powerful because I'm a Sith. And then Yoda's like, a Sith? You are not. Well, I guess you are, but I mean...
They said, much to learn you have.
Much to learn you still have.
And they have a little light, and he uses the lightning with the classic Christopher Lee hand, where his knuckles go out. And no, his knuckles go down, and his fingers kind of go up. And he makes a nice little, really great
wave.
Yeah. And he goes with the lightning. And Yoda blocks the lightning. And so does Obi-Wan with his lightsaber. And it's like, I'm watching this for the first time and going, why didn't Luke know about this?
Maybe they didn't think about it. It's pretty cool, though, how you can block lightning with a lightsaber.
Yeah, so Yoda blocks this. And when I was, as an adult watching this, pretending to watch for the first time, I think it's a little goofy. I don't,
The Force battles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, because I kind of accept it, though, in a way that's like, if you get to the point where you kind of keep it in the science-y, not science fiction really, but adventure, they have powers, they have Force. I guess if you look at it that way, then it's not that bad. But if you're kind of...
They could have made it a little bit less flashy.
Yeah.
And Yoda usually looks like a PlayStation 3 render.
He's a PlayStation 3 green.
But, CG Yoda, they really wanted CG Yoda, so... CG Yoda it is.
And his cloak is made out of the finest silk found in the planet that makes the finest silk.
Yeah. Silconoidea.
And
Christopher Lee says,
we cannot fight with the knowledge of the Force, but with our skills, lightsaber.
Yeah, that's
kind of the opposite, isn't it? Should have been we cannot fight with the lightsaber.
The skills of the Force, knowledge of the Force. But
whatever, because we needed the lightsaber fight. And I'm sure this turnaround shot of Yoda looking like he's taking out a gun, like a Western, right? Taking his cloak and taking his lightsaber. I bet the fans were all going, whoa!
Loving that.
Right? And when I was a kid, I thought, wow, this is the moment, because we heard rumors back in 2001. Yoda's going to be using a lightsaber.
The next one.
So
and for the longest time, I thought he was gonna have a Yoda orange lightsaber.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I thought, and my image was just Yoda with a cane fighting, like using the cane to walk and right. But Yoda turns
is
into
a master acrobat.
He turns into Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. This is I think,
and as an adult watching this, pretending to watch it for the first time, it's
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I understand what they were trying to go for because he's an alien creature, But
my thing is that I don't see the necessity of jumping Yoda.
Flips.
It's not in his character.
Yes, it is. Look at that.
He should go berserk and he should be like, naked or something. Like,
and he stops and goes,
yeah. Berserk mode.
And Dooku's like,
whoa, little
underpants.
Underpants.
Well,
here's PlayStation 3 again.
Oh, and of course, Dooku is Yoda's old Padawan.
Everyone's old Padawan.
Yeah, whatever. So Dooku does the dastardly evil thing, and he takes one of the big pipe towers and
tries to crush Obi-Wan.
And he cuts
Yoda
it.
stops that midair with the Force.
But instead of just dragging both of them underneath before the thing would do that, and then jumping in and destroying his escape pod.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
Dooku's escape pod, and then we would have this external shot of just lightsabers.
He used all his power to fight to get into berserk mode.
Yeah.
And he's gone. Dooku's gone.
Yeah, Dooku escapes, and Padme's there, and she tries rescuing them with the clones, and battles won, clones won, and then they start shooting.
The last resort to shoot at the ship, just like in Halo.
As
the Warhog goes away with your flag.
And there's a great cue later on. And look, some Federation starships coming back up.
Freight Federation.
And Yoda's like, oh man, and Anakin's like, oh my arm, and we follow Dooku.
This is the final confirmation.
Yeah, the final sway into it, and then there's a great cue in there.
So
I liked the ship because it was like a sail.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. So Dooku leaves. He gets to Coruscant, the rough bit.
And he goes into the seedy rough bit. Yeah,
to some hidden base.
Yeah,
and
there's some great music. It's like this single choir woman. Oh,
that is true.
Very interesting. And he walks down into the ship, and who is there to greet him in this decrepit place? But
Lord Sidious.
And then Lord Sidious, Palpatine, whatever, same guy. I think everybody knows this. And he goes, "Welcome home, Lord Tyrannus."
And we're supposed to go,
oh. But it's kind of just so paper thin.
Yeah.
And then they're just talking about how the
war has begun.
Excellent. Everything is going as planned.
Power.
And then we go to the stupidest place on Earth, in the galaxy. To the Jedi Council one last time. It's sunset. Mace Windu, it's cleared. The room is cleared. There's no one there.
No. But
do you think those chairs in the Jedi Council are
I was wondering about those chairs
capsules? Or are they foldable, like those camping chairs?
It'd be a lot of work to actually lift them. Because they look pretty.
Well, use the Force to lift them.
The cheapest way of using the Force, lifting.
Yep.
I think they're probably, they go down.
Yeah.
They go down. It closes up.
Planned. Okay.
So Mace Windu is talking to Obi-Wan, saying where's Anakin? And Obi-Wan's like, I'm escorting the queen.
Well, no. What's his name? Obi-Wan says, "Do you believe that Dooku's actually leading the separatists?"
And?
It doesn't feel right. What? Doesn't feel right? We have not had this connection with Dooku. We have never seen him.
What does Mace Windu say? I forgot.
And then Yoda's like, "Join the dark side, Dooku has."
They're a little slow, these Jedi.
They're very slow, and he doesn't look very good.
Nevertheless, I feel we should keep a closer eye on the Senate. I love this. This is perfect, right? I love how the Jedi here, this is their last resort. It's like they're thinking, all this happened. They have proof beyond proof that terrible things are happening. And they go, what should we do about this? let's slightly increase our awareness of
vigilance
of the Senate. We should keep it a little closer eye, like just a little bit.
Yeah.
He's like, that sounds pretty good. Not too much work and just a little extra work. We'll put in a couple extra hours a week and all right, that's pretty good.
And then Anakin once again escorts Padme. Grants Obi-Wan should know
he should know by now. Be like, dude, I know what's up.
Yeah, whatever. And he says, "Go escort her, quote unquote, to Naboo, whatever." Because of the assassination that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, no one cares about that anymore.
And then he goes, "Without the clones, there would be no victory." And and I love it because Mace Windu does the little nod. But no, Yoda comes in and goes, "Victory?
No. Shroud of the dark side has fallen."
Tell me what that means, Shroud of the dark side has fallen.
The Clone War!
No.
Does it mean the shroud has fallen, like the shroud has entered? Or the
no,
has
so
fallen?
there's a literal shroud, remember?
Yes,
Yoda
I know.
says there's a literal shroud.
We confirmed that there's an actual shroud.
Yes.
And now it's gone?
Yes.
And so now he can see.
The Phantom Menace
is gone.
Yes.
And so now it's gone and
And now the Clone War begins because
but now
the Separatists are there.
Vision is
and the clones
fixed.
are here and we got a Clone War on our hands.
Okay, well.
Well. And begun the Clone War.
And this is it. This is the final.
And then we have bum, 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 bum. It's hitting you on the head with...
Just in case you didn't know, this is not really good army, but...
Yeah, it's the Empire. It's going to be the Empire. What I like about this cue is that it goes... Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. And then we see, Mr. Palpatine. I don't know how he can get from one end of Coruscant to the other, being Lord Sidious.
Tube transportation.
Does he have instant transmission like Goku?
No, they have like a really good underground.
Well, what does he do? Does he like take off his hood? I'm Palpatine now.
Yes, that's pretty much it.
Clark Kent glasses. And the ending happens with... Our
cousin left.
Really? To go to the bathroom, right?
Susu's
like... Right at this,
right? Don't go to the bathroom, it's the end. And Susu's like, I have to go.
And this has been repeated by our uncle, her dad, when we were watching Empire Strikes Back, leaving right at the 5 seconds before it's done.
We're like, this is almost done.
Anyway, they get married.
His robot arm his robot arm is a little bit weird.
Yeah, but that's cool. And Anakin and Padme kiss because they get married, and the friar is there, and he leaves because he's like, I'm disgusted.
I know that you Jedi are not supposed to be
there.
Yeah, and
R2 and C-3PO are there just like Empire Strikes Back because it rhymes because of poetry. And what do you say about this ending here? It feels like he thought up of an ending. He tried forcing the ending later. To be there.
Yeah,
with
that's pretty much it. I would say that.
And it could have been so much better. This stupid. Okay, and then what happens is. It goes. Let me finish it. Oh, I just repeated myself. And that's the end of the movie. And screenwriting credits, there's a Jonathan Hales in there.
Really?
And I don't know what he helped with, but whatever. And that's the end of the film.
That's it.
And when I was a kid, I was like, this was so cool. Clone Wars, fights and lightsabers, Star Wars, scenes and locations.
I have to say, like back then, I accepted very much that this was it, latest and greatest.
And it was a transitional movie, and it was like mysterious and cool.
Well, and there was like things to think about. Like I thought about Anakin losing his arm. Like I was like, that's serious. I'm serious. And stuff like that. I thought about weird stuff like that.
Yes, and now when I watched this, and at the end, pretending I watched this for the first time, I felt it was exhausting.
Yeah.
It was an exhausting mix of too many things in one movie with no connection to each other, so there's no solid following of something
Bedrock
going on. And that's story structure-wise. However, I will commend George Lucas for being a great idea man. And he really thought of some cool worlds, some interesting alien races, and great plot lines that would have worked if someone else was writing a story about it. Because the meat of it had to be more, congealed and put together organically and emotionally, tying us to a story. And it really didn't feel like that. And it just felt like it was a bunch of clips put together, and it really felt to me like it was just filling space until we go to episode 3.
Yep, I think that's...
What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know what else to add. I mean...
Because there's a lot of different ways you could have done this episode. I always had a really interesting thought of that if Obi-Wan and Anakin... And this could have been episode 1. You know? Because episode 1 didn't really do anything in the grand scheme of things.
You mean to start here?
Yes. Because it's a Star Wars prequel, and this was start a war, and that's how we start.
Well, so I think the main thing is that this movie, unfortunately,
it panders.
It suffers from characters who aren't believable. They say lines, and then they go, "Oh, the next thing."
Yeah.
Like you said, things don't connect. There isn't really any kind of threat in the film.
No, there is no underlying pursuit, no threat, no nothing. Yeah, it's just like a mystery. And when the mystery is revealed, it was right on time.
Yeah.
Everything was okay. And it wasn't even much of a mystery. And so that was... Django really wasn't...
I mean, a lot of, 2/3 of the movie really don't really say a lot.
And Anakin and Padme's development as a relationship was
that felt very much like it's supposed to happen, therefore...
Yeah, and every scene really didn't like
and there weren't
any further.
There wasn't anything really interesting in the movie. Like we talked about some
visually
some
interesting
of those ideas that could have been there, like the Jedi and the Council. Nothing really happened there, and there's just it's kind of like a little bit formulaic, whereas it's just there has to be some kind of Sith bad guy. They're eventually going to fight the Sith bad guy. In the meantime, there's stuff to look at, like clones and things.
Yeah, but there's a nice... But I like the environments. I still like the environments.
I agree with you there.
And the atmospherics. There's a lot of atmospheric sections that really pulled back into my nostalgia, and I felt nostalgic.
Yeah, totally.
And I have to say George Lucas is very much a good... It's really apparent to see that he's really good. And I think, look, for episode 1, what do you think in comparison to episode 1? You said something yesterday after you finished watching this.
Episode 1 was better, I think.
Yeah, episode 1 was better.
Better.
It really...
Because it had some kind of
It felt like George Lucas had some sort of passion to make episode 1.
There was a feel to it. And even though I bet, I'm maybe giving it too much credit, because if you watched it again, we would see that it is,
But it had a thing you go and follow. You follow Qui-Gon and...
Yeah. I mean, the segments that it had were... They followed through with them. You had Anakin's story, you had the troubles of the Trade Federation, which we ended up having some kind of a war, that kind of stuff. And Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon at the beginning have to solve something, remember?
Yeah.
There's stuff like that where you can follow
But this is just clips and stuff.
This is, clips and stuff. Star Wars was too, clips and stuff.
Well, it was Star Problems.
Yeah, Star Problems.
There were no wars until the end.
The first one also had that, remember, Trade Federation, blah, blah, blah. But there was still something in there to...
And it felt... more active somehow.
Yeah, more active, and it was a little more organic. This one was very...
It felt like George Lucas had a task to do, and he was doing it.
Yeah.
And also, I'm sure the crazy fan anger for episode 1 kind of hit him. And he said that, and he's a very stubborn guy, as we all know.
He didn't take it well, right?
No.
So maybe that's why.
And as a stubborn person, he doesn't want to like let someone else do it, and so he insists on things, and since he's paying the bills for this movie, no one really wanted to say, let's change.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. But
that's episode 2.
Nostalgia.
But what I'll tell you, after we watched the movie in the cinema, guess what? Thunderstorm at night.
Ah, yes.
And when we went out, and
that was awesome.
Guess what we felt? Camino.
It was awesome. It was raining, and there were steps in front of the theater, and we were lightsaber battling.
And we brought our lightsabers. Duh.
Of course.
Andrew, me, you.
Yeah.
Lightsaber battling in the lobby. It was like, some people were like, hey, yeah.
Yeah.
Not making fun of us, because that would be stupid. Why would you make fun of little kids?
Yeah. It was Star Wars, man.
And, guess what? It was thunderstorming outside, and me and Andy were just jumping down the stairs from the cinema outside, and there was lightning, raining, and he had his Count Dooku lightsaber. I had my Darth Maul double-bladed lightsaber, and we were fighting in the rain, and then we all rushed into the car, went back. It was like 10 p.m. probably at night, still really pouring rain, and we came to our house, right? And then Andy said, it's kind of dark outside and raining and thundering. Can you walk me home, Philip? And I'm like, yes. And I bring my lightsaber, and we dueled down the road, down the driveway, and down the block to escort him to his house.
Andy's house.
And I can still remember how dramatic it was because of the street lamps and the rain coming down, and just that sound of rain,
thunder.
And just me with the lightsaber and him going, and we couldn't even hear the clash of the plastic.
That's so cool.
But it was because it was so loud, and I could just see Andy's face, and it was all full of water, and then sometimes lightning would happen. And it felt really dramatic. And then I got to his place. All right, see you, bye. And I ran as fast as I could back home. And after that, of course, we talked about Star Wars and how great episode 2 was and how cool Yoda was insane with the fight. Yeah, but 13.
We went to episode 2 celebration before.
Yes, this was in April.
Yeah.
And the movie was in May.
Yeah.
And that is our episode 2 story. So
that is episode 2. So
hopefully yeah, we always say hopefully.
Okay, enough of the hopefully.
So next month, October, we're gonna go with Revenge of the
EP3.
Sith. So thankfully, the prequels will be gone, and I'll be happy. And
we'll be able to do 6.
After this, Jay, I feel like I'm Star Wars'd out, so I'm done with the Star Wars. And
probably.
But it was pretty cool.
It's funny that the original 4, 5, and 6 is always more to talk about with those. It's like you can kind of get into some of the themes. Here it's not so easy. But there we go. That's episode 2. So we plowed through episode 2.
Yep. I didn't think we would do such a detailed job, but yeah, Lazy Jedi.
What was time?
Inept people.
Time? How much? Like how much?
3 hours, 32 minutes.
So it's 2:20, 2:30, 2.5 for the movie. Is that the longest or the shortest, or I don't know.
I tried. Anyway, that's our podcast.
Cool, that's it.
We're back with the podcast. We'll do another one some other time.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Have a good rest of the day or whatever. Bye.
The Clone War has begun.
The Clone Wars.
Oh no, I'm not capable of flying.
Star Wars Clone Wars.
Star Wars Clone Wars. We have 1,118 hours to record until it runs out of hard drive space.
That's plenty. 1,000. How much? 1,800.
1,118.
1,118.
In 25 minutes.
Perfect. So that's just enough.